This is the second session for my Thursday group. We have a interesting set of circumstances here. Just to give you a brief rundown of what happened, the group arrived in town in two separate groups. They are currently at a hamlet by the name of Darnek, which is on the shores of the Darnek Lake. They met each other in the center of town, and the rogue, Zook, started doing his performance. He's a performer of sorts, which eventually brought all of them together. They did notice that there was a disturbance at the docks of town. They made their way down there. While they were down there, they attempted to speak to some of the people. One of the people at the dock did talk a little bit to them, and there was what appeared to be a prisoner transport out of the town onto the boat. Following that, the NPCs, the people that they were speaking to, just went back into their little rest shack. And the players went back into town to sort of investigate what had just happened, because nobody was really talking about what they had just observed. So Rurik and Zook, our Cleric and our Rogue, made their way to what passes for a tavern in a place like this, while Prudence and Shigun went to the administrator of the village, a man by the name of Merrick Clearweathers. Shigun managed to get a little bit of information out. They discovered that the minor noble house Tarmyran, uses Darnek to transport criminals and traitors and deserters to a prison by the name of Hestmark Prison. Meanwhile, Rurik and Zook at the tavern. Zook was performing. He's earning a fair sum of money. Prudence left the interrogation of sorts with the administrator because the administrator was very rude to him. Unfortunately, being a tiefling, when he arrived at the bar, or what passes for a bar, he was also treated very rudely and unfairly, and was asked to pay, what was the sum I said, 3 gold, I believe, for a slab of meat. At which point he walked away. Zook ended up paying a significantly lower sum. Once everyone sort of split up, Prudence ended up making his way to a table. He spoke a little bit to to one of the patrons, who explained that due to the conflicts at the southern border, tieflings and other fiend-like entities tend to be a little bit shaky in this part of the country, in this part of the continent, rather. Now, Zook also made his way around, continuing to perform. Shigun, at the bar, paid a hefty sum for what is ostensibly top-shelf wine, and he is currently being spoken to by an extremely inebriated human woman, who took one sip of the wine and pretended to like it. So at this point, Zook and Shigun are currently eating. Zook was given a noticeably smaller portion, being a gnome. Rurik is currently at the table
Give me a kid's meal
with the two friends that they've met, and Prudence has just sat down at the table with an elf whose companion just walked away, but the elf had been watching them the entire time they were there. I'm going to pick up with Prudence. We're just going to pick right up where we started, where we left off. So Prudence, I believe you were speaking about what you called a crow, but the elf recognized as a raven. What would you like to do? You give a slight smile. For those of you unfamiliar, our player playing Prudence doesn't use a microphone, so I stand in whenever he tells me to do things. You glance out the window where your raven had flown out, and you look back to the elf and you say, "Not many people know the difference between a crow and a raven. I'm rather impressed." And this elf gives you a smile. The first sort of change of expression you've seen since she's gotten here. She says, "Oh, don't worry. All things are evident when you just know how to observe. Birds, animals, everything looks different if you know what differences to look for." She sort of raises her hand at the barkeep, and the barkeep, who did recognize this individual, she had been here for a few days, but did not know her name. He sort of gives a wave back. "Aye, all right!" And he comes around and he drops a mug of wine at the table. Not wine, excuse me, of what passes for beer at this establishment. And he glances down at Prudence, and he looks back at the elf, and the elf nods. I'm not going to move as many, but he moves back to the bar and comes back with a second mug, drops it in front of you without looking at you, and returns to the bar.
Man, this really is the what passes for tavern.
Hey, hamlet of 56 people. You gotta make do. Okay. So you, raising your voice for the first time, you actually turn and look at the bartender and say, "Thank you, sir." And he nods at you while furiously scrubbing a cup that to Rurik, or to Shigun, appears completely clean, but he's busying himself. All right. So you return your attention to the elf, and in your own way, you start to pry into her business, as it were. You say, "Oh, well, you should tell me more. You seem like a very observant individual. How is it that you came across that talent?" And she gives you a knowing look. You notice for the first time, this is not something you've noticed, this is something that you did observe before. She has a longbow strapped to her back, and she sort of ruffles her collar slightly, and you can see that the majority of her clothing is now made of what appear to be animal hides and furs. Let's just say, I tend to get out a little. And it's at this point she actually leans her head away from you, and you can see on the left side of her neck there's an imprint. Not a brand, not a tattoo exactly, but what appears to be an imprint of a feather behind her ear. Is that something that you would actually like to say to her? She looks at your, probably not comment. You wouldn't know specifically. Remind me of your background. I'm sorry. I believe you were a scholar with the professor. That's your background, right? Or a sage. I forget what it's called in 5th ed, but...
That's Dr. Professor Prudence.
It was, yes, Sage, Professor, according to my resources.
That's what it is, yeah. The sage background with the professor. That's right. Yeah. Well, so roll a history check for me, please. I don't think I have your stat sheet with me, but I mean I do somewhere, but a 15. You recognize that groups of elves in this part of the world tend to be affiliated with a specific clan. Not any one specific clan, but they tend to be affiliated with a clan. Very few loner elves out in this part of the world. And you do know that the feather behind the ear is one of 3 different tribes, depending on the type of feather. And each of these tribes tend to be, they're outlanders, they're foragers, they go out into the woods and they eat dirt and stuff like that, so. Okay. I know you can't, for those of you watching, you can't see it on the overlay, but I can see when he's typing, so forgive me if it seems like I'm sitting here doing nothing. I just see that he's typing and I'm waiting for what he would like me to say.
It's a shame the overlay doesn't show people that are typing.
Let's see. You say, "Oh, you must be a ranger." The Weeping Sisters? I'm sorry, I'm not very knowledge in the elven coalitions. Would you mind, and you sort of put your elbows on the table and lean in, would you mind telling me a little bit about that? She gives you a smirk. Not in your tongue. Listen. My name is Lorasa Anwe. My clan is known as the Anwes. In your tongue, it essentially means flyers. We tend to be more affiliated with the creatures of the sky than the creatures of the ground. Weeping Sisters, we don't exactly have a good relationship with them, so... How is it that you've come to this place? You may have noticed that your particular physicality is not necessarily appreciated here.
Oh, was that her name?
Yeah, that's the spelling of her last name. Any name that might be difficult or has special characters, I'll always throw in the chat. Okay, so at this point you're essentially telling her an abbreviated version of your life story. Oh, excuse me, you're giving her the not abbreviated version of your life story. And so you begin, I don't really know what my ancestry is. I don't know where I'm from, because apparently my parents abandoned me in shame. And my first memories were being raised with a set of priests, and she holds up her hand and says, that's quite all right. How is it that you came to be here? And she points down at the table. While this conversation is going on, is there anything in particular that you guys would like to be doing while this conversation is going on?
Do I
give her-
notice this conversation going on between Prudence and the elf?
Is it something that you were looking out for?
I've been trying to keep tabs on the elf, just because
That's
she
right.
stands out amongst the crowd.
That's right, you did mention that last week, or 2 weeks ago rather. Yes, you did notice that they have been talking. It would require a bit more finesse on your part to perhaps get the contents of said conversation, but you do know that he's sitting at the table and that they're not making any attempt to hide the fact that they're speaking. So,
I think once I finish eating my meal at the bar, I'm going to go sit next to Prudence. Is there a seat next to them available?
More or less. You could probably, if you would like, you could probably ask the gentleman sitting to her right to move. So you...
Once I finish eating my sandwich, I'm kind of anxious to go to the inn.
Okay. Yep, that was the one that's at the end of the road that he talked about. Yes, so I will finish this sentence with Prudence, and then we'll change gears to you guys for a little bit.
Okay.
Say, oh, I walked. And again, she gives you a look like, come on, dude. So, I jest. And you explain to her that you're here because you...
Really, I floated.
You seek adventure for the knowledge and for the money that it brings in. You do then point out your other 3 party members. Remind me, which of the party members did you walk in with? I think you walked in with Zook, correct?
Zook, yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
You do point out that you met Zook along the road, and you met the other 2 as you were coming into town. You met together in the center. She says, well, this is a very interesting and perhaps fortuitous gathering. And with that line, we're going to change gears. And Zook, you said you wanted to go down and see about the inn?
I'm sorry, what was that last bit you had said?
Now I gotta think back to what I just said. She said, well, this is I know I'm gonna say it, but this is an interesting and perhaps fortuitous gathering of individuals.
Okay. I just was making sure I didn't miss something.
Okay. Yeah, and on that line, we're gonna shift gears. So, Zook, you wanted to make your way over to the inn? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, I mean, ideally I wanted to, regroup with the party at the inn, but
okay.
I can just look around it myself.
You want to go on your own? Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to draw that. I'm not going to draw it. I'm just going to pop you out of the bar here. So, Zook, you thank the bartender, and he gives you a
I'm going to go to the inn, and I'm going to wait for the party to show up.
Okay. Yeah, so you just head over to the inn. Make your way out the door, go to the inn. The man that was standing next to you that you sort of shoved out of the way to get up to the bar, thankfully reclaims his seat. Or his standing space. There's no seats at this bar. And you make your way over to the inn. The inn, as it were, I'm just going to place you over here to indicate that you're away. The inn, as it were, is more of a hostel. It's, you walk down the road, you go to the center, and as mentioned, there's one road. Besides the main road, there's one road that forks off. You go down this road, and on this road are multiple, what appear to be warehouses. Very tall buildings. The flat barn type roofing. And at the very end of this, at the very end of this road, you see a very narrow 2-story building. And at the very to the left of that road, just before you reach the very end, is a building with a sign hanging above the door that has a bed icon, just has an image of a bed on it. So you walk in, and you are greeted with the sight of probably about 3 dozen beds. Some of them are filled. There are some people that are dozing. At this point, I believe we're already past sundown at this point, so most people that are residing here have already taken residence. You do recognize 2 people there, 2 of the people there as the 2 of the people that you saw down at the docks. That were the 2 that refused to speak to you. They sleep here. And you kind of look around. You don't see anyone in charge. What do you do?
It's kind of open air. I was looking forward to rooms.
Not so much in a place like this.
Well, in that case, then I look around the rest of the town and see what buildings there are.
Okay. So you leave the hostel. You make around, as mentioned, the road that you were on. All the buildings look the same, except the hostel, which looks the same, but with a sign on it.
Question?
Yep.
Can I, put away my capelet to look somewhat normal?
Yeah, absolutely. You take off your cape and you stuff it into your pack. As normal as a gnome can be in a country predominantly elven and human, yes.
And one with a blue suit and green hat.
Wearing a blue suit and a green top hat, yes. So you make your way back out, returning to the center of town. You see the tavern that your comrades are in. Next to it is a one-story building, relatively small, on each side, flat roof again, and above the door, in common, a language you don't recognize. What languages do you know? Is it just common and dwarvish? Or gnomish, rather? It's just common and gnomish. Okay. In common and two languages you don't recognize, there's writing above the doorway, but it's roughly the same length. You can probably gather it means the same thing. It says provisions. The house is the building, as it were, is currently, the door is closed, the window is dark, you don't see anyone inside. It is nighttime at this point. Turning along, there's the road leading back out of the town, which is the road that you saw Rurik and Shigun make their way in on. And a bit further down is a fairly large house. It's one story with a second story, almost a tower, coming up on one side. It looks like if you had taken half of that house and put it on again as a second story, that's what that looks like. The roof is sloped. It looks fairly well made. No signage on the building or anything. Looking further along, then you have the road that leads down to the docks. On the other side of that road is a third house. And that house looks very much like the general goods store, probably built in the same time period, probably built by the same person or the same people. Much smaller. Only no window, but the door is closed. And then turning once more, you see what is essentially a shack, probably about 15 by 15. The roof looks like it could probably use a little work, and the door is slightly ajar, but there's no light inside.
Is this the shack that was by the dock?
No. So the shack that was by the dock was rectangular. It wasn't square, and it was actually down by the dock. You're currently in the center of town.
Okay. I would like to go down to the dock and investigate that shack now that everyone's cleared out.
Okay. Yes, so you're right. Squares are also rectangles, but not all rectangles are square, so keep that in mind. Alright, so you make your way down to the dock. I gotta, keep my eye on the watch so that I'm making sure everybody gets their fair share of gameplay time. I'm gonna say you're gonna make your way down to the dock, and I will click over to Shigun and Rurik if either of them would like to be doing something in particular. I believe, Shigun, you asked if there was a seat available at the table?
Yes. You said there's not?
There's not a seat available, but the way folks have been treating you today, it doesn't look like it may be a hassle for you to get somebody to move for you, particularly the way you're dressed and the way you're carrying yourself. No, you still do have a patron. This woman sort of leaning on you. Her sentences have started to make less sense. And the bartender looks down at her and looks down at her and says, "Ugh, it's time for you to go to bed, eh?" She just mumbles something. It's just words, as you do.
Unfortunately, I'm afraid I have some business to attend to, ma'am. I'm gonna try to slink away from her as politely as possible, since she's a little clingy, I would imagine.
Okay. Yeah, give me
So
one.
I'm gonna make my way over to the table.
Okay, so actually, if I could have you make a perception check for me.
Okay. Perception.
Okay.
Not so much.
Carry on. Carry on.
Oh,
So you
good. Oh, good.
you move away from the bar, and you approach the table.
Yes. I'm not going to force anyone out of their seat, and since there's no open seats, so I'm just going to stand next to where Prudence is sitting.
Okay. I'm just gonna loom with your intimidating presence.
Well, I'm not trying to be intimidating, but I suppose my status might do that to some of the people here who aren't used to me.
All right.
I'm going to greet the elf in Elvish.
Okay.
Politely. Hello, ma'am. My name is Shigun of House Fortemps. How do you do tonight?
She. Excuse me. Remind me, I lost track of the conversations while he was rolling around in my head. I probably should have been writing them down. What was the last part of the conversation we just had with Prudence?
She had mentioned that it was a
The fortuitous gathering. That's right.
circumstance.
That's right.
Yes.
Right. Thank you.
And Prudence had pointed out the party members.
Okay. So you speak in Elvish to this woman, and she looks up and smiles and responds in kind. She also speaks Elvish back to you. And she says, "It is good to meet you, Shigun of House Fortemps." What did you say? Fortemps? I don't know how you pronounced it, but on the paper it says Fortemps. What is it that draws you all here?
Well, I came in with my dwarven friend over there. I motioned towards where Rurik is seating, and
Okay, just right at the next table.
yeah. I've been on a quest to investigate alleged dealings that certain houses have been doing, and I noticed when we came into town there was a ship at the docks with the house of Cameron. Is that how it's pronounced?
Tarmiran, yes.
Tamarin. We noticed a ship with House Tamarin emblem on the flag. Warren, if you might know anything about that.
As you say the name of the house, her expression drops and she becomes neutral. Just flat expression. She leans in. Not here. Later, okay?
Okay. I nod silently towards her.
And so she's also saying this in Elvish.
Right.
She, without moving her head, she glances between the two of you, and she says then in common, "I believe that it may be to our benefit to perhaps speak somewhere a little bit more private. Wouldn't you agree?"
I think that can be arranged.
Okay. Prudence, suits me. She places both hands on the table and stands up. None of the patrons seem to take notice. The bartender looks over and gives her a nod, just as a sort of greeting, or a goodbye rather, and she nods back to him and, without a word, walks out the door. And out of
in that
sight.
case, I will get Rurik's attention to let him know what just transpired.
Okay. So you flag down Rurik,
Mm-hmm.
and you let him know what's going on. I'm going to assume...
We're going
Oh, no.
We're going to speak somewhere a little bit less conspicuous with our elven friend here.
Sounds good.
Okay. Just hanging out at the bar?
What's that?
Are you just hanging out at the bar still?
No, I think we should probably follow the elven lady. Wouldn't you agree?
I literally have it written down. I flipped to the wrong page. Lorasa Onway.
I was trying to remember her name.
Okay. So each of you make your way out of the bar into the night. It's probably approaching about 11:30 midnight or so. You have a clear sky above you. The stars are shining brightly. The moon up in the sky is a very thin, faint crescent. and you make your way out of the bar. You're now in the center of town. As an
Is the,
aside, sorry, go on.
Is the town well lit at all, or is it really
Not at all.
dark?
It's
Well,
if it weren't for the bar, there would be no light. I'm just gonna put my meeples in a pile and put them away later, because there's a lot of them. All right, so you make your way out of the bar.
I'm
And
assuming
as
I don't
you-
have difficulty walking because I don't have dark vision.
well,
You can.
I was
You're currently in low light conditions, so you are
Okay.
able to see to a certain extent.
Okay, enough to follow her.
Okay, so as you leave the bar, Deer hops down from the roof and lands on Prudence's shoulder, and Prudence taps it on the wing, and it becomes dismissed. Because that's familiars, man.
see. I was
Say again?
nothing. I
Okay.
was unfamiliar with familiar dismissal.
Yeah. Yes, the mechanics.
But now
of
you're
familiars.
familiar with it.
And now
Yeah,
I'm
it-
familiar with.
Yeah, so as Prudence typed, if you dismiss a familiar, it essentially bamps away into its own pocket dimension, where it sleeps.
It's a
and does
Pokeball.
whatever it needs to do. Right, it's essentially a Pokeball.
Or a
See, I thought it was like gonna fly off somewhere.
it's like a minion. in
Okay.
14 or World of Warcraft.
I gotcha.
By the way, Shigun, subtract 2 gold from your inventory, please.
Crap! I knew it.
Congratulations, you just got your pocket picked with your
All
4
right, I'll
perception.
do that.
Um,
You said 2 gold.
2 gold, correct. She's
Alright.
not a very ambitious pickpocket. Oh no, I just killed half the party. 3/4 of the party.
Is this something I notice, or are you just telling me for reference right now?
I'm telling you so that you can subtract the gold for reference, for just so you don't think you have the
Was-
extra gold.
Was this the failed perception check?
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yes,
I
that was
wondered
that was
what that was about.
I knew it.
It's one of those always you gotta keep an ear out when I start making checks and I don't tell you what happens. All right. So you make your way out of the bar. You're now in the center of town. The tavern's just in the center of town. Zook, I believe you are making your way down to the beach. So I will do like 1 or 2 minutes with these guys, and then I'll go back to you. All right? And that
I
should-
just nodded.
that should. Yes, I can definitely see you nod over voice chat. Alright, see you. Let me see if I have more appropriate music here.
Oh, my foot's hurting a bit.
There we go. So,
It's more like a cramp.
you leave the tavern, you were in the center of town. Let's see. Where's my... I have a list of all your... who has dark vision and who doesn't. Everyone except Shigun. Great. So...
Yeah, Shigen's the only one without dark vision.
Yep. So, can I have everyone make perception check, and Shigun make a perception check with disadvantage, please?
How do I do it with disadvantage?
So not me because I'm not with them, right?
No, not you. Sorry. You can do exclamation point.
Question mark.
It's
or
question mark.
Sorry, I remember I changed it. What did I make it to? Disadv, I think. Let's see. Scroll up. Oof, I was doing a lot of things in the bot channel. Good lord. DAV. Question mark DAV, and then whatever your bonus is, plus your bonus.
I think I did it wrong.
That should be right. Let me take a look back in the channel. That should be right. Anyway, just to have it roll 2d20. Take whatever the lower one is. Add 2. That's what disadvantage actually is. I guess the macro's not working right now.
You went KL for keep lowest.
Rick. I'm gonna roll.
Oh, right. You don't actually have to say that it's 2d20. You just do question mark DAV and then whatever your bonus is. You don't have to say 1d20. I've already got that macroed in. I forgot about that. There we go. 22. 2 natural 20s.
You rolled
Which-
2 20s!
Which, as much as I hate to say it, unfortunately, natural 20 is not a thing for ability checks. However,
I know,
22
that's so...
is really good.
Yeah, for the brief second, it didn't start.
You could probably see into the future with that.
Right. You see the universe. You're sitting at it. There's someone sitting at a table. There's a grid on the table. Anyway, so
That's a 1 in 400 chance.
Fucking-
right. So
that's a
Rurik
1 in
and
400 chance.
excuse me. So Rurik and Shigun both, you notice on the other side of the flip back to my map here. On the other side of the town square, there was I believe I mentioned a shack, 15 by 15 shack that Zook saw earlier. You see that the door is completely open. There's no light inside, but the door's open. Yes, gold is ephemeral. Knowledge is priceless. And I believe it's Prudence failed to check on that one, so Prudence did not see that, despite his dark vision.
I'm going to look around. Are there any small rocks or stones nearby?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Don't even
I'd
need
like
to check.
pick
There's
one up and
an
cast
abundance
light
of them.
on.
Okay. You cast light on the stone. Pew! He becomes a sphere of light. Oh yeah. By the way, don't forget. Just because you guys know something doesn't mean the person who failed the check will know that. So you do have to tell them. Currently, Prudence is just looking around, just
Thank you.
it's in the dark.
I point over and.
He's literally in the dark. Sorry, go on.
I point over to the direction of the shack and make mention of the open door, and that it. I suggest we could probably investigate that area. She might be over there.
I would put a map down in front of the camera, but it has all my notes on it, so sorry.
Oh.
I could draw it on the table, but honestly, you're going to spend less time here than it's worth. Okay. So, Prudence says, points at your sphere of light, your rock of light. And he says, keep that here. Don't bring it any further forward, but I can go ahead and I can see what that's all about. He points at the shack. And gear change. We're going over to Zook. Alright, Zook. You are making your way down to the beach. You said you wanted to investigate the shed? Correct? Zook?
And before he's AFK getting food.
You what?
Oh, did he?
I zoned.
Welcome back.
Could you run that description again?
The shack? Yeah, it's a, I believe a 10 by 20 shed. Relatively unremarkable. There's a door on one side towards the path. As you come down, it is right as you reach the beach. And as you reach the beach, there's a door facing the path. You recall from walking around it, there are no windows on the sides that face the beach or the trail, but there is a window on both of the other two sides. There's currently no light coming out of it.
Okay, I have dark vision, so
Yes.
I will
Yep.
enter the shack and search around, see if I find anything interesting.
Okay, you open the door. It's not locked. Make an investigation check for me. While you're doing that, just a reminder, the inside, as you step in, because you have dark vision, there's enough light. It's dim, but there's enough light coming in. You can see with your gnome eyes, your special eyes. There's a spool that was placed in the middle of the room that you saw before. The dock workers are using as a table of sorts to play cards on. There's a couple of crates here and there. Let's see. You got a 24. Very good. There's a couple of crates here and there. It's a relatively small box, and as you and now as you are sort of pushing around and looking to see if there's anything interesting, you do notice the bottom of the shack is just straight into the dirt. There's no floor, just straight into the dirt. You notice in one corner there is a slight depression in the ground.
I suspect that. Can I? What skill would be relevant if I wanted to like look at the walls and see if they were like constructed recently?
Just if the building is new, that'd be just roll another investigation check.
Yeah, or if it's like a DIY sort of thing.
Yeah, that's one of those, like, you rolled the investigation check for one thing, now you're rolling it to check for another thing, so. 21. You are nailing it today. No, the building is... You can't really get an estimate on the age, but it was definitely not recently constructed. Not within the last couple of years, at least. You do see...
Hold on a second, someone's knocking on my door.
Okie doke. Well, we're just gonna wait on that description. While we're doing that...
How dare they?
Moving over to, I believe Prudence was moving forward. You're going to move forward to the shack, correct? The one that you saw in the center of town? Okay, roll stealth for me.
I am not a stealthy one. Wow. Oh.
4.
Oh.
Well. And on that note, let's see. +2, +4. Okay. Unfortunately, this one's bonus was higher than what you rolled. As you approach, you're doing your best, but it's not really your forte. You kind of step on a couple of sticks and you kind of cough accidentally.
Very sorry about that. I was suddenly given a donut.
Okay, I will shift back to you. I will shift back to you in one quick second. Prudence attempted to stealth and didn't do well. As you get closer to the shack, you see Lorasa's head pop out. Shh. She holds up a hand and shushes you, which you stop, and then she motions you to come in, and she looks past you and sees your companions and motions for them to come in as well.
Did you know that there is such a thing as a bacon donut?
Yep. Krispy Kreme does it.
A
couple people do it.
Before making my way over to the shack, I quell the light and...
Okay, you just dispel light.
Stone.
Okay. Oh, you, so you maintain the light, but you just throw it in a pocket?
No,
actually...
I dispel it, but
Okay.
I put the stone on my pocket, so I still have it with me.
Okay, sounds good. So you...
I'm gonna head over to the shack as well.
Okay, so you two follow. Let's move back to Zook, just to finish up what
We should
were doing.
probably name our shacks.
Name the shack.
Well, this is the shack by the beach, and the other one's the shack in the center of town, so...
Shack 1, Shack 2.
So,
Love shack.
So, Zook,
the beach shack and the town shack.
Yeah, so you do, as you were looking at the wood, like, you know, where the wood enters the ground, it looks a little rotted. Being by the water probably hasn't helped at all. You do see a couple of spots in the roof where they haven't broken through yet, but it probably will in the next couple of months, or if there's any bad weather, this thing could probably just lift right up out of the ground.
Okay.
Okay.
You mentioned that there was, like, an impression in the ground.
Yep, slight depression in one of the corners.
Is there anything in the shack, like a shovel, that I could dig with?
Yeah, looking around, you see a shovel just inside the door.
Okay, I would like to dig where the depression is.
Okay. You dig through the depression. You don't even get 2 inches into the soil, and you hit something wooden. You take a little bit of time, and you dig it out, and it is a small wooden box. You look around, and you see on the front there is a small, almost a jewelry like a jewelry box lock. Very, very small, very, very finely crafted lock. Surprisingly finely crafted for a place like this. Yes, it's the wooden corpse of a mimic. Ha ha ha! Go ahead and roll initiative, bitch. No, I'm kidding.
Can I learn anything about who has this box or what it's about?
You're looking at this
'Cause I
box.
feel
There's no
I feel
markings on the outside. The lock itself is plain, but you do notice that it shines in a particular way. You do recognize this material as being it is a gold lock. It's made of, physically the outside is made of, or at least covered in, gold.
Wait, is it wooden or golden?
The lock. The box itself is wooden,
okay.
but it has a lock
Sorry.
attached to the front that is either made of or covered in
Gotcha.
or plated in gold.
I'm debating whether to try picking the lock. I'm not sure, like if I pick the lock, I might not be able to relock it, and that might mess things up later.
It's up to you, man.
Can I use thieves' tools to, like, lock something?
Yeah. I mean, generally speaking, unless it's a lock that is designed to be broken, this is something you would know as a rogue. You should be able to relock anything that you've locked because you know how it unlocked. More complex locks might be different, but this is... If it's that complex and this small of a package, you wouldn't find it in a place like this.
Okay. Alright, so I would like to use my thieves' tools.
Okay. So I believe... Look at the skill sheet because it's been a while since I've been a player. Roll a... What would this be? Why am I blanking on what? I believe it's Thieves' Tool check, which should be proficiency mod. Roll d20, add your proficiency mod, and dex, I believe.
Okay, so... Wait, do I add my proficiency modifier?
Because you're a rogue, you're proficient in Thieves' Tools, yes.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, d20 plus 6. Interesting.
10. Alright, so you fiddle with it a little bit. And you fiddle with it, and you fiddle with it, and then finally, the lock opens.
Well, I set the lock to the side, and then I open the box.
Okay. You open up the box. There is a small, what appears to be a locket inside, a golden locket. There's no chain, just the locket itself is sitting in the bottom of the box. You also find, there's my other D8. 12 gold in various denominations. And you find a small sheaf of paper that has been folded up.
Okay, I'm gonna unfold the paper and see if there's anything written on it.
Okay. Yeah, written on the written on the paper is what reads like a love letter. It is addressed to a man by the name of flip. Durrell. It is addressed to my dearest Durrell and describes how it has been a very long time since this person has seen him, and that she is sending this to him to remember them by.
I
And
see.
It is signed at the bottom, your dearest Lorasa.
Well, I will fold the paper back up. I will take a look at the locket to see what Lorasa looks like.
Okay. So you pop open the locket. Nothing special about it. You do recognize the face of the elven woman from the tavern.
Okay. Alright, so then I close the locket and I put everything back in the box. I close the box, and then I lock it, and then I rebury it.
Okay. Yep, so easy enough. You just click the lock back into place. You put everything back in as best you found it, and you just push the dirt right over it.
And then I leave the shack.
Okay. So you leave the shack. You close the door behind you. Squeaks on the way out.
Okay, I don't see anything?
No, I mean, nothing that you didn't already see during the daytime.
Yeah, okay. Alright, so I will
Inside the
go
shed.
back into town.
Actually, so, sorry, you mean you didn't see anything inside the shed or anything on the beach? Because you'd already left and you asked me that.
Like,
so.
it's like, has anyone showed up?
No, there's no one on the beach. Just you and the one tree that's kind of dying.
Okay, I will go back to the center of town, and I will take a look at the other shack.
Okay, so at this point you're just approaching as the rest of the party is making their way into the shack with the door that you notice is now open, with Lorasa standing in the doorway motioning them in. So you meet them all in the center of town, and Lorasa is there too. And so she turns she turns and sees you and points and motions you inward without saying anything. So as
I follow the party into the building.
Okay. Yeah, so each of you make your way into this shack. Again, it's pretty cramped. 15 by 15 is not a lot of space, particularly not for 5 people. So this is going to be a bit of a squeeze for you guys. You do make your way in, and nothing special about the shack. You look around, there's nothing in it. It's just an empty shack, actually. And as she comes in, whoever is coming in last, doesn't matter, she motions to close the door. Let's say, I'll say Zook comes in last, and
I can hold Zook.
I would like to respond to what Prudence just said.
Okay, give me one quick second. So, I'm going to say Zook is the one who came in last. She motions for you to close the door. Do you close the door? Okay, I'm just going to assume you close the door. Yeah, go right ahead. Prudence says, well. Who would have thought that there's something going on in this town?
Well, there's something going on in every town.
Fair.
You just have to look.
Lorasa gives you a look and says, well, this town's different. Listen, I was talking to your friend here. She nods at nods at Prudence and nods at Shigun. I was talking to your friends here, and it sounds like you guys are in town probably for the same reason I am, yeah? About the boat that was just in the harbor?
Yeah, we stumbled across the boat by chance. It's our first time seeing anything like it. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about it.
Okay. And she looks at Shigun, and because Shigun was the one that told her that he was looking for apparent corruption in the kingdom. Well, something that's interesting is a lot of people think that House Termyron, right, is based out of Sundi. I'm not so sure these days. They seem a bit... Their business interests seem to lie outside the country, if you know what I mean. Outside the kingdom, if you know what I mean.
I see. Is it one of the neighboring kingdoms, or...?
So that's the interesting part. Yes, we have a bit of an interesting relationship with the kingdoms nearby, but This doesn't seem to be one of the kingdoms. It seems to be Dulstrand. Trying to think who would know this. Can I have everybody make a history check? Don't worry, it's not a high DC. Okay. All of you except Rurik and Zook. So Shigun and Prudence both recognize the name Dulstrand immediately, being one of the only places on this side of the shoreline that Sundi, the kingdom of Sundi, is located on, that remains independent of Sundi. It was formerly a part of the South Kingdom, the same kingdom that the Southern Kingdom that Sundi eventually broke away from. But at the same time, Dulstrand declared its independence and now exists as sort of a coalition of cities on one of the shorelines of Sundi. This is important because Dulstrand also happens to be the one major port on the ocean, on the sea rather. So the fact that Sundi has to travel outside its borders to do trade kind of puts a damper on their trade.
Okay.
So Dulstrand and Sundi have an ostensibly positive relationship, but...
And being unfamiliar with the name, I ask what it is.
Okay. So she, Lorasa, she just says, well, Dulstrand's our great kingdom, she says, mostly dripping with sarcasm, has been trying to have Dulstrand join our little coalition for a long time. Probably about as long as this kingdom has been around, at least the last 15 years. And, well, the city of Dulstrand and its neighboring cities kind of like the way things are. They can put tariffs on all of our trade. Our beloved Ulven King is not fond of this. But apparently, we are now using a noble house that says they're from Sundi, but is actually from Dulstrand to do their dirty work. It sounds suspicious to me, don't you think?
That it does.
Listen, I brought each of you here. Prudence agreed. Listen, I brought each of you here because you all look like you're very capable. I don't know what I'm getting into with this. I've been searching for folks like this for quite some time, but I seem to have hit a bit of a dead end. It seems that the borderlands of Dulstrand have been closed off to my kind. She points at her ears. So I may need someone else to help me get in. I also have some resources at... oops. Where's my map? I also have a couple of contacts in Fandaulo, which you would know just by the nature of being in this area, is the capital of the county that you're in. And they might be able to help. But again, it seems that people know what I look like, so I can't actually enter the city to try and get any information. And he looks, she looks at each of you. I want to ask you guys a favor. I have two things that I need to do. I myself can only do one of them, and I would like you to do the other. I see Prudence is typing here. Okay, I see Prudence is typing, so I'm just going to wait for him to respond.
Sure.
Okay. Prudence just says, go on. She kind of draws in a breath. Well, I can't enter Fandaulo, and I can't enter Dulstrand. I might be able to get my way into Dullstrand if you can secure certain documentation for me that the wonderful capital city of Fandaulo may be able to offer. This would involve a little bit of subterfuge, but I might be able to get you in the right places, or I may be able to at least grease a few wheels for you. Once you've secured the documents, if you bring them back to me here in... Good God, I've just forgotten the name of the... Darnek. Here in Darnek, I will reward you very handsomely.
What sort of documentation?
Oh, travel papers, you know, the type that might be able to get me through a border checkpoint without being heavily scrutinized.
So
I would like to ask a very specific question. I
Go on.
ask what appears to be where are we headed, but in Thieves' Cant is are we stealing or forging documents?
So the words that come out of Zook's mouth, you catch the general drift of the sentence, but you guys notice that there's a couple of nonsense words thrown in, and some words were perhaps spoken in a... They're enunciated very interestingly. And remind me, what were the two sentences that you wanted to say?
The Thieves' Cant is are we stealing or forging documents, and the common is so where are we headed?
Okay. She looks at you and says, well, Fandalo, of course. It would not appear she understands Thieves' Cant.
Hmm.
Unless you'd like to, well, infiltrate Dullstrand, but I may warn you, Dullstrand is mountainous, and the Border Patrol has checkpoints all over the mountains, even off the paths and the roads. There's a rumor that they may even have eagles doing some of their watching for them, which is a bit much even for them, but I wouldn't put it past them these days.
I see. That's wise to avoid.
I would tend to agree. Prudence. Okay. Prudence thinks, well, we'll need a code word for the contact, perhaps some kind of map if we're able. Then he asks, what sort of resources will you be able to spare for us ahead of time?
I agree. Any information about a potential contact would be most welcome.
All right, I didn't...
Also,
Sorry, go on.
Amber, what town are we heading to? I forgot the name already.
Fandalo, let me throw it.
Fandala, alright.
Fandaulo. It is the capital, as she mentioned, it is the capital... Actually, she didn't mention it, but you would know this just from the nature where you are. You are currently in the county of Hestmarken. Fandaulo is the capital city of Hestmarken. Where did I put
I'm kind of losing track of all these names.
It's a lot. That's why you gotta grab a notebook, Mang. Miscellaneous, Dungeons and Dragons.
I should really be writing these down.
Campaign. Fandalo.ping. That's not what I wanted. Sorry. Yes, I will be able to provide you with a map of the city of Fandalo. It might be a bit outdated, but it's not like the walls change position overnight, yeah?
Anything will help, I suppose.
Yes, Fandalo was also the city that you traveled through. While afterwards you met up with Shigun, you do know that Fandalo is a very large city.
I've traveled through there, yes.
Okay, yeah, so you have traveled through there. You know Fandalo is a relatively large city. It's the type of city that is divided up into districts, so you would sort of need to know where you're going if you want to find anything. She just mentioned that she will... I will be able to provide you with a map. I don't have it with me, but... Listen, why don't you meet me in the morning? Just, meet me in the tavern. She motions across the way. I'll be there a few hours after sunup, and I'll have the information that you need.
Are you sure you want to? I'm sorry.
No, go on.
Finish. Are you sure you want to meet there? You seemed reluctant to discuss anything earlier.
What's wrong with a woman handing a note to her sudden male friends? Nothing more.
All right then.
And she
I crack a smirk.
she looks at Prudence. There is value in subterfuge. There is value in using code phrases. I do know your faces, so it may not be necessary at this moment. But come your trip to Fandalo, should you have a change of heart and decide you wish not to help me, I would ask that you send word back to this little town, and perhaps say the words, Dolstrand is fortified. Just send a message back to this town, see that it gets to me, and I'll know that you've decided not to help me, and I will have to seek aid elsewhere. Should you procure those documents, you may decide to courier them back to me if you feel safe doing that. But it may be a better option just to simply come back, in which case I don't believe we'll need any sort of code phrase, because I'll see you here and I'll know that you've gotten what I wanted.
How long will you be here?
Well, I can't really go much else. I may leave town for 2, maybe 3 days. You may have seen my companion. He and we do a fair amount of hunting in these parts. We make sure that the town and the surrounding area remains perhaps not quite so dangerous. They tolerate us as long as we're here. On the off chance that I'm not, I will make sure that information gets to you that helps you find me. Oh. I just noticed that the overlay stopped working. Refresh cache of current page. Boom. There we go. Well. Do we have an agreement then?
I look at the rest of the party.
I'm all for it. Seems interesting.
I think we can manage.
I'll cast my vote of support that we should do this.
Yes. You should be aware that people may appear to know who I am, and they may appear to want to help me. I would not trust them at first glance. If anyone mentions me by my name, you may not wish to reach these people. Understand?
How will we know?
The information that you wish to have will be in the documents I will provide to you tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
This is the sort of thing that we may be safe here. She looks around, pauses for a moment, and you see a spark in her eyes, like a visible spark of light in her eyes. It may be safe to speak here, but I do not know you. I trust you because you came here and you've asked me and you've allowed me to speak. But there's only so much information I can give you. So, tomorrow morning, 2 hours past sunrise, in the tavern, we will meet. We will exchange no words, and then you will leave. Sound good?
All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you. She motions to the door.
I suppose then,
You're just
I'll
coming
see
up
that
on
later.
midnight now, so 2 hours past sunrise for you would be borderline 7 hours. I'll call it enough for a long rest. In this part of the world, anyway.
So I leave with the party, assuming that the party will leave now.
Yeah.
Okay. You're the closest to the door, so you open the door and you walk out.
As I make my way out, I turn to the elvish lady whose name I cannot seem to remember other than it starts with an L.
Lorasa, yes.
Lorasa, yes. I turn to Lorasa and give her a small bow and a small prayer, and saying that I hope the guiding light of Palor finds you well on the morrow.
She looks down at you and a slight chuckle, just... Let us hope that I do not need the strength of Palor.
And I make my way out of the shack with the rest.
Okay. As you leave, she does leave after you guys, and she heads down toward... You see her turn and head... sorry. Where's my map? Yep. You see her walk across the plaza and enter that interesting 1.5-story house that I described to Zook earlier. At this point, the tavern lights are still lit, but they're dim, so you can still sort of generally see what's in the center of town. You will need to help Shigun find his way once you get out of the center of town, though. There is no lighting.
If
Go again. Sorry.
I could relight my stone if we felt that was a safe course of action. If it would help Shigun.
I communicate to Prudence that Rurik has the mutton.
Oh yes, I have that.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
you have a pack. You tried to stuff it in your... That's right. This is what we decided to... for a pack. You didn't have a pack, yes. So you went to stuff it in your armor, and a bar patron willingly sold you theirs for a small sum of some amount that I don't remember.
Out of pity.
Out of pity for seeing you ill-prepared to receive such a bounty of food. Is there anything else you guys would like to do before making your way back to the hostel? Which everyone else seems to call an inn, but it's a hostel.
I'm fine with going to the hostel.
I recall it was 5 silver pieces.
Sure. I don't remember. And this is a sizable piece of meat. Like, you could probably get 2 or 3 meals out of it. You alone, probably about a week's worth of food, as long as it was able to be dried and kept.
Oh boy, mutton jerky.
I'm gonna make a note that I no longer have this.
As far as your familiar... I believe. I've been doing a lot of Google searches for RuneScape related stuff, so that when I looked up familiars, the first thing that came up was summoning familiars in RuneScape. Let's see. Oh yeah, as an action, you can just pop it back up. Okay. I just had to double check. Okay, so you hand him the 5 silver pieces and say, well, it may not be worth that much, but... And you hand him the silver. Okay, anything else you'd like to do before you go back to the inn?
Our keeps.
Racists, man. Okay.
I was planning to, like, do the regular long resting where we have, like, people doing shifts and keeping watch. but I feel as though that would be a bit awkward in this kind of sleep environment, and I'm not sure it's needed.
It's up to you, whatever you want to do.
I think let's not.
Oops, wrong playlist. Okay. Okay, so each of you make your way back to the hostel that Zook went to before. As before, I think I said 36 beds. There's a lot of beds in this space. They're all pretty tight. A couple of them are bunks, and you do see a second level with even more beds. Not a lot of beds are actually filled right now. I believe probably about 10-15 beds would be filled at this point. As before, the 2 dock workers that did not speak to you before are now in bed asleep. Everyone in this room is asleep. There is one lantern, just a very dim lantern at the very far end of the room from the door. You enter in, so it's a barn shape, right? Rectangular. You enter in through the narrow side, one of the narrow sides. There's a desk on the opposite end that has a lantern in it. And it's just a very dim lantern. Looks like it could go out at any moment. Looking around, you do see several empty beds. You don't see anyone that's in charge or manning the place. You don't see anybody else awake. Is there anything else you guys would like to do before going to sleep?
There's nobody currently awake or working.
I would like to specifically locate a set of beds on the second floor near the back.
Okay. Alright, so, Prudence, says, I would like you guys to stay close, and, I'll set up a magical alarm that will tell us if anyone that we don't necessarily want to speak to tries to come up and speak to us. I gotta pull out the alarm spell card. Yeah, so it's unwanted, choose a door. Okay. Okay. What type of alarm would you like to cast? So you mentioned you're going up to the second floor, you're finding a set of beds. Second floor is empty. There's no one on the second floor, so you can easily find a set of 4 beds right next to each other. You hop on the beds. They're passable. Hay with a piece of what must have been cloth at one point over them. Not moldy and bad, but just it's been there a while. So as you settle down, you see Prudence sit down on the floor, pull open his spell book, and start reciting quietly to himself. And as he does so, he draws a line in the air, just in a circle, multiple times. What type of alarm would you like to cast on the space? Audible or mentally? Okay. It is not a concentration. Okay. Okay.
Do we get that effect, or just
No.
Prudence?
Just Prudence. So the way the alarm spell works is you can ward an area, and if someone that anything that's tiny or larger enters the area, you can designate creatures that will not set off the alarm. For example, he can make it so that each of you don't set off the alarm because fuck it, right? Also because the alarm would immediately go off because you're in the space. So basically, if anyone that he doesn't know or he doesn't designate walks into the area, he will immediately wake up. Okay, and this can be a 20-foot cube, which is much larger than the space you need. 20-foot cube won't cover the whole floor, but it will reach about to the top of the stairs from where you are.
Well, I think it would be wisest for... I'm assuming like 2 bunk beds next to each other, one in the corner.
Okay, on the second floor there are no bunk beds. But
Okay.
there are, but the beds are fairly packed. I would say if if you were in a bed arrangement, you'd be about like that. You'd be right near each other.
Yeah, okay. I was sort of picturing that maybe for strategy, just in case, you should put like Zook and Prudence nearer to the wall than.
So here's a 20. This is a 20-foot cube. Is this larger square? So it's a pretty large space. This room's not that big. So if you're by the wall, Zook and Prudence are by the wall, right? And the other two are right there. Right here's the stairs. So it's pretty close. But they've got a little bit of ways to go before, you know, they hit Prudence, the one who cast the spell, if they even know the spell's there. Okay, yeah, and the way this is set up, actually it'll be more like that. Although I guess you can ward it so that you take the beds right up against the wall. There won't be any beds because the next set of beds is here and here. So there are no empty beds in the actual zone. Okay. You each make your way to the beds. You bed down. And I assume each of you falls asleep. Okay. You sleep soundly until morning. The alarm spell does not go off. And you awaken just as the sun is beginning to rise. Just a tiniest amount of light is peeking through. Each of you awakes well rested. You didn't lose any hit points, but you gain hit points. If any of you cast any spells, I don't remember, probably not. You gain all uses back. Rurik, would you like to change the spells that you currently have? Because you can do that after a long rest. I'm gonna guess not, probably, but just in case.
Probably not. I'm gonna take a quick look here.
If I recall, Shield of Faith, Inflict Wounds, Guiding Bolt. Sorry, go on. Go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
This is an out of character game mechanic.
You can definitely you can ask mechanical questions anytime you want. Don't worry about that.
Okay. Is it okay to ask another spellcaster what their prepared spells are, or is that kind of strange?
I would say you can ask what types of spell they can cast. You can ask for specific names if you want to, because they do have specific names. Just bearing in mind that arcane magic and divine magic may not necessarily mesh. But yeah, if you would like to, you can certainly discuss. I believe if you want to change out your prepared spells as well, Prudence, you can do that as well after your long rest.
I address Prudence and ask if he has any capability of detecting magic in an area.
He nods.
All right. I will probably be making no changes then.
Okay. Alrighty. If you do, if you decide to change your mind and it's between sessions and you haven't cast any spells, you can definitely let me know and we'll deal with that mechanically outside of the game. Okay.
Okay.
I have no issue with that. All right. So each of you wakes up. You make your way downstairs. Everyone in the building has left.
All right.
You get the feeling this is probably worker housing, so they got shit to do, man. And you make your way out. Fairly uneventful. Okay.
I'm gonna practice with my trick rings just to have something to do with my hands.
Okay. Yeah, so the way that let's say in game, I know you're speaking in text, so you can basically say it the way you said it. Also, if we could avoid pasting spell descriptions in that channel, just because then it blacks out the entire stream channel. Anyway, You can explain to them, there's a way that you can cast the spells that doesn't take away from their ability to cast other spells. It just takes more time. You can phrase it that way. That's fine.
Energy or time?
It takes up time.
No, I mean that you can cast it using energy or time.
Yes, basically, yeah.
I was describing the spell, not asking a question.
Right, no, you can phrase it that way, yeah. If you want to, I don't know. What does a rogue know about magic? But, anyway, you make your way down, back to the center of town. There are people moving about, much the way that you saw after the ship had already departed. People were actually moving around the town because, whatever was going on has stopped going on. And as you're making your way out, Prudence is attempting to explain to Rurik how his particular brand of spellcasting works. Being a sage, he tends to use a lot of long words and so on. So it takes a little bit, and then he finally says, "Look, I got it." And that's the end of that conversation.
How much of it do I overhear and understand?
Make an Arcana check.
Okay.
Just because you're not a spellcaster, so that's something you gotta roll for.
Yet.
Yep. Well, I'm not gonna stop you from multiclassing if you want. 16.
No,
okay.
I'm gonna do Arcane Trickster.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you're vaguely familiar with the basics of magic. You've never, as a gnome, you sort of have this innate understanding of magic. Not nearly to the same level as a wizard, but you can sort of generally follow the conversation. Much in the same way that perhaps if you hear two doctors speaking to each other, you'd probably at least get what they're saying. Yeah, so if Prudence were describing anything in his spellbook, you would absolutely not be able to understand him. But he's not doing that right now, so...
So, blah blah weave.
Right. So you make your way down into the center of town. There are people walking around. There's the building that you saw, Rurik. If you look across, you see provisions in Dwarven. And Shigun, you look across and you see provisions in Elven on that building that Zook noted before. It says in common above the door, provisions. That door is now open. And you make your way into the tavern.
I say we look around the provision shop. Unless now's the time for the handoff.
Getting a general look at the sun, you probably have about half an hour.
Okay. Well, I would like to at least window shop a bit.
Okay. So you start making your way over to the provisions building. Let's see. I have the wrong book for this. There we go. Okay, so Prudence follows along with you. I assume most of the party's going to make their way over with that as well? Alright, probably. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah. So you make your way into the provision store. Each of you makes your way in. And this is more or less a general goods store. There's various what you would use as adventuring gear, things like rations, packs. You just see them sitting on shelves on either side of the wall. You make your way in, and you do see a counter about 10 feet in, but you don't see anyone behind the counter. Along the wall there are shelves. You see tools, picks, shovels, various types of gear that you may see if somebody were going for a long journey. Water skins, things of that nature. As you're looking around, Roll. No, I'm not gonna make you roll for this. As you look around, you don't see any scrolls, but you do see what could very generously be described as a bookshelf that contains 3 books.
Do the books have titles on their spines?
Does this Goodwill have any DVDs?
Yes. Sorry, who asked that?
I'm kidding.
No, who asked about the books?
I did.
You know Common and Dwarven? One of the books is, excuse me, one of the books you read the spine, it says, I actually had this on a list somewhere and I can't find my notes, and now I'm really bad because they were all really good puns, and I'm mad about it. Anyway, so one of the books is the spine would lead you to believe it's a cookbook. Basically says the equivalent of Bon Appetit, but I had a way better pun when I was thinking of the name earlier today. The middle book you can't read. Rurik can't read, as it is in a script you're unfamiliar with. And the third book is a very thick tome. Probably, you remember how big, why am I blanking on the name of the book? Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, right? Like whatever number, thousands of pages, like 1,500 pages or something. About that thick. It's a big book. And on the spine is a symbol, clicky clacky. And on the spine is a symbol that... Rurik, would you mind making a religion check for me with advantage?
The one checking the books was me, Shigun.
Oh,
I pulled
Rurik...
up an image of that book.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Did Rurik not?
Just for visual reference.
No, that was me. It's just that his name lights up when I speak because we're sharing a mic.
Ah, okay.
Yes. Although...
Well, then never mind. There's a symbol on the spine, and if you want to see if you know what it is, roll a religion check.
Sure, why not? I'll go for it.
Prudence, you do not recognize the script in the middle book.
Do I recognize these books?
So you got a 22. Yes. So Shigun, you do recognize the symbol. It is a silvery circle, looks like a silvery circle, with a small golden crescent moon in front. You recognize this as the religious symbol for Fortemps, which is a lesser deity of law and order in Greyhawk. But yes, Prudence, you would not recognize the script. Was that Zook, I believe you asked?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you do not understand the script.
Quite the book, then.
As you're taking a look at this small collection of books,
it's not in common, elven, dwarven, gnomish, undercommon.
Well, no one that knows elven has looked at the book yet. Oops, I just told you what language it is. But yes, it's in elven.
Does Shigun want to examine the book?
I mean, sure, if he wants me to help look at it.
I will give you this gift of the metagame this time.
I thought you were looking at all the books.
I am, yes. I was checking the books.
Oh, you are? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were I thought you were just looking at specifically the one. Yeah, the one in the middle you recognize as elven. And you... reading the spine, you see the life of Olven King Hazendel I, who is the current king of Sundi. Relatively thin book.
Sounds thrilling. If
you had to estimate without looking at it, probably about 20 pages. Barely even qualifies as a book, were it not for the fact that it was hardbound. It's very finely made, and it looks very well cared for. Much more so than the other two books but it's sitting there on the shelf. As you're examining the books, you hear some footsteps come in from behind you, not trying to sneak up, but he just makes his way in through a door behind the counter that opens up. You instantly smell just almost, you can't see it, but if you could, if smells could make you see, you'd see it. It's this heavy sense of spices and incense. It assaults your senses, and it just, some of you actually you get tears in your eyes. Not enough to make you roll a Constitution check, but it's pretty bad. It's really strong. And a man.
Well, I wanted to check the sun anyway, so I'm gonna leave.
You wanted to? I'm sorry.
To check the time of day.
The time of day? Okay. Well, it's been about 15 minutes, so you have about 15 minutes till your arranged time. And as you walk out, the apparent owner of this fine establishment comes out. Hello there! I see you have an interesting taste in literature, no?
Oh, just browsing a little bit. Interesting that you have Elvish here. Probably rare to see that in a town this small.
Fair enough. If there's anything you're looking for, definitely let me know. I can probably find it if it's not already here.
I'll keep that in mind, but thank you.
So Prudence, you are looking for a grappling hook. Yes, actually, within seconds, you look to your right and you see a grappling hook and a coil of rope just sitting on the shelf.
Most of a grappling hook is rope.
And the vast majority of it, yeah. Okay, so you walk over to the shelf and you heft the grappling hook. It's fairly well constructed. It's, heavy iron hook that you're holding in your hand. I would like to purchase the hook, but I don't need, and you heft the coil of rope, any of this. And he turns, sees you. You see a slight reaction in his face, but it immediately is wiped away by his bright and welcoming smile. Oh, of course. The normal going price for a hook of that quality is perhaps 2 gold, but without the rope, why don't... Without the rope, why don't we say a gold and 2 silver? For you, a gold and 1 silver. Okay. Excuse me. And you say, I will think about this. Would you happen to have a whistle? And he cocks his head and gives you a look. A whistle, like a flute, perhaps? Is it an instrument? I'm not familiar with this this type of. What does it do? What is it you're looking for?
I wonder if I keep watching the sun, he'll get me to make a Constitution saving throw.
Maybe. Signal whistle. Well, it's... You blow into it and it makes a very loud noise. Perhaps to warn people of potential danger. I think I have what you're looking for. Give me 1 moment. And with a flourish of his robes, he's wearing these very finely crafted... red robes with gold trimming. With a flourish of his robes, he sort of scuttles back into the back room. The door remains open, so naturally the the smell continues to pour out. You hear a couple of boxes being shuffled around, and finally he comes out of the back room, holding aloft indeed a signal whistle. There's a bit of straw over it. Obviously this has not been not been a product that is asked for often, so perhaps he may not know the correct word for it. I believe that this is what you're looking for. And he inhales, and he blows into the whistle, and a shrill noise fills this tiny space. He pulls it out. Oh, yes, I do think that's what you're looking for. Does that sound good to you? All right. Well, you already have the gold and silver in his hand. I will take that, and for this, and he holds the whistle out to you.
What time is it now?
At the conclusion of this transaction, that will be time. He motions, yes, of course, my friend, take it.
So I re-enter the shop and then gesture to the party like, hey, we gotta go.
Okay, so he takes the gold from you and you take the whistle and so on. And as Zook comes in and motions the rest of the party, he says, thank you everyone, and I hope that excuse me. Hang on. It's a good thing I have a microphone mute, huh? It says, thank you everyone, and Alona, guide your steps. He gives you a nod, and with a flourish, he returns to the back room. This time, the door shuts, thankfully, cutting off the smell. So you make your way, you follow Zook out, you make your way across the, not across, but just to the next building over, back to the tavern. You enter the tavern, and sitting at a table alone is Lorasa. And good God, I hope I didn't get that name wrong. Yes, I got it right. Okay. So each of you individually sit at the table. The bartender looks up, looks at Zook. Oh, hello, little one! Good morning to you!
What did he say?
He said, hello, little one! Good morning to you!
Morning!
You got any tricks? You taking care of any tricks today, eh?
No, sorry, I'm leaving town soon.
Oh, that's a shame. My friends here, and he motions at the empty tavern, were really enjoying it last night. So Prudence, you just beeline it for the table, and you just kind of sit there. You sit next to
Wish
Lorasa.
I could stay more. Wish I could stay for a longer time.
You and I both, my friend. And each of you sit down at the table with Lorasa, and Lorasa hands, just for the sake of story brevity, hands Shigun a relatively large stack of papers that they've been folded in trifold. Would probably fit in an envelope, just a regular size envelope if you really tried. And she nods.
I'll take the papers in and I'll put them on my person where they'll be safe.
Okay. Yeah, you tuck it into, a space safe inside your armor, as you do.
That's right.
We are the armor stuffing group.
Hey, be careful, that might become your name.
Oh no.
The chainmail stuffers. Has a nice ring to it.
Dibs on the band name.
She looks at each of you and gives a little flick of the hand.
Now that we have the papers, we should probably head out. So I'm gonna get up and start heading towards the door.
As do I.
Okay. I'm gonna just assume, unless you say otherwise, I'm gonna assume each of you makes your way out of the tavern, and you walk out to the town. Now, Rurik, since you've been to Fandalo, you're already familiar with the road. I'm just gonna, for the sake of story brevity, assume that you take point on this one. It is.
I have a game mechanics question.
Yep.
Could I use Minor Illusion's ability to create sound to silence a sound that's already being made?
I don't believe so, but let me double check that for you. Create a sound.
If it works on the same premise as noise canceling, potentially.
It unfortunately no. You can only create sounds. You're not able to reduce the effect of an existing sound.
Okay.
I mean, you can overwhelm a sound with another sound if it's possible, but
like maybe if I had like a oscilloscope or something. But,
right. If you had an oscilloscope and you could play a canceling tone, unfortunately not. Unfortunately, the Minor Illusion cantrip does not work that way. The Silence spell does, but a Minor Illusion does not, unfortunately.
Cool.
Let's see. Prudence takes his time, and Deer is on his shoulder, and he sort of gives her a little ruffle of the feathers, and Lorasa gives Deer a nod specifically on your guys' way out. Where's my region map here? Here we go. So you make your way out of town. You're each relatively familiar with the path. It will be this distance with a dwarf in the party. Probably about... I'm going to turn the volume down just a hair. Probably about a 2 days journey. On foot.
So remind me.
Yep.
What are we getting her these documents for? I asked the party.
I was gonna say, if nobody would like to disclaim it, I'll say it, but I prefer it being character. So, the explanation that she gave you was that she needed this documentation so that she could get into Dulstrand, which is a small region of Sundi that did not join the Kingdom of Sundi when it seceded from the South Kingdom and then the Iron Coalition after that. It's a small region that unfortunately has the largest seaport in what would geographically be the Kingdom of Sundi, so Sundi is very interested in having it come into the fold.
So, is she going there for that reason or for some other reason?
She is investigating, she described to you, she's investigating House Tarmyran and its links to entities outside Sundi.
Ah, right. And I think Tarmyran was operating the ship that we saw earlier, so okay. There may be clues here.
At this point, I will say, since you've already left the tavern, you wouldn't be able... If you wanted to go back and say that, you could. But at this point, I'll say you'd have to go back to do that. And yes, actually, thaumaturgy can be used to...
there may be clues in this quest.
Make a whistle boom 3 times louder than it already does. So... Oh, okay. So you're saying to Zook... you say, we're helping her because we and she share similar goals. Alright, where's my Xanthar's guide? Blah, 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 blah. There we go. So, this is going to be a 2-day travel. I will say, just because you're traveling on foot, if anyone would like to do something as you're walking, if it's not an activity that requires you to sit down and concentrate for several hours, is there anything that you'd like to do or discuss or take care of along the way?
I'm gonna go through some of the papers a little bit and see what exactly is on them.
Okay. So as you ruffle through the papers, the first paper, the one that's on top, is a map of the city of... Sorry, go on.
I think I would like to practice my tricks.
Okay, you mentioned you were practicing your rings earlier, correct?
Yeah.
All right. I will get you. I'll get you a better version of this map. that doesn't have my notes on it, but ta-da!
Yeah. I don't know if that has any gameplay effect, but for flavor.
Yeah, I have no opposition to that.
Just juggling.
Right. So as you're walking along, you're juggling. It is because it was only about 2 hours after sunrise. You have the entire day ahead of you, and then the entire following day, and you will most likely reach Fandalo, assuming nothing goes wrong, towards the early evening of the second day of travel. So you're making your way out. As I mentioned, the first sheet of paper has a map of Fandalo with the different districts. It does have a couple of X's on the map, and on the second page, there is a list of what each X represents. For example, there is one that marks off where a particular blacksmith shop is, and it mentions them by name. One of the X's is for the castle, and another one is for... there's just a name on it, and I need to flip to the different page of my note to see what that name is. There is an X on the map with the name Laios, 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 with nothing else. Just says the name Laios, and it appears to be outside the city walls. You would like to have your familiar scout ahead using its bird eye view as often. Okay, yeah. The way that the Raven familiar works, yeah, you would be able to have her go up into the air. She's quite a distance when she's up there. Would you mind for me rolling two consecutive perception checks for me?
Was that directed at Prudence or?
Sorry, at Prudence. Roll two consecutive perception checks for deer, please. So that's an 11 and a 7. Oh yeah, no, for the bird, and also in the other channel, so that it shows up on the stream. It's just spells that I'd rather not be pasted in there. And so 18. 18 and 12. All right. So for the first half of the day, goes by relatively uneventfully. Shigun is ruffling through the papers. There's a third paper that I'll describe once I get to the end of this explanation. Shigun has the papers. Zook is practicing various tricks. Would you mind making an acrobatics check for me, please, Zook? Just one.
Oh boy. Where's my sheet? There's my sheet.
Uh, 10? Okay. Yeah, so you're practicing your tricks. Nothing particularly eventful happens. There are a couple of ones that you've been working on that you do flub a little bit, but not enough to really hamper the progress of the party any more than the fact that your legs are like a foot long. You and Rurik both, man. Yep. You don't hurt yourself. You don't damage anything. So you're just moving along.
That's what the practice is for.
Okay. Prudence, do you have you don't have prestidigitation, do you? Oh, okay. Yeah. So Prudence is almost obsessive, but not quite to the point of neurosis, where he is making sure the dirt doesn't get on his robes and his traveling gear. Anytime a leaf falls on him, he just flicks it away immediately. I believe. Let me double check with familiar. I don't have in front of me. Wizard. That's a warlock, which is just the cooler version of a wizard. No, not really. I don't have it in front of me. So remind me, do you have to concentrate to look through the eyes of your familiar, or if the familiar spots something, can they telepathically communicate it to you? I don't remember the mechanics right off the top of my head. Okay. Oh, that's why, because I was looking in the wrong book. It's in the monster manual.
I said in the monster manual.
Animals. Familiars are usually animal-based. That's why.
Well, yeah, but they're for players.
Yeah. A lot of the variant rules are in the other rule books. Anyway. Okay, so she can just communicate telepathically. I believe just like, you know, ideas and feelings, not so much words. And then as an action, you can see through its eyes. Okay. So as mentioned, the first part of the day goes uneventful. The sun crests over the sky, and as the afternoon starts to darken, Deer does indicate to you that there's something that you should probably take a look at.
Do I notice this?
Well, you see Prudence take off a pair of gloves and put on another pair of gloves. They look exactly the same.
Okay, I put my implements away.
Okay, yeah, so this is something you'd notice because they're not making any particular decision to hide it. Okay.
Okay, I will start donning my leather armor.
Okay, so in order to don armor, I will say you have to stop moving. So you will have to at least hang back a little bit, unless the rest of the party wants to hang out with you.
I don't mind waiting.
Yeah, we can wait for a moment.
Yeah, donning light armor only takes a minute, so if you would like to hold the group up, that's fine. You start throwing on your.
While he's doing that, I'm looking ahead and seeing if I find anything strange or out of the ordinary.
Okay. Yeah, she should be close enough. I will say, for the sake of convenience, she's definitely been maintaining a distance of less than 100 feet. So yeah, if you'd like, you can definitely take a peek through her eyes and see what she sees. And now that was Rurik, I believe, asking me about if you could look forward. Yeah, make a perception check for me, please. Okay, 14. So you appear forward. The rest of the group has stopped. You've heard something is going on, so you've stopped, and you peer forward. You don't see anything particularly out of the ordinary. You know, you're going through a relatively wooded, not wooded perhaps, but a hilly landscape. There are trees, but not as much as, say, a forest. You have been traveling alongside a river, but nothing really stands out to you on the trail. Now, Prudence stops and puts his hands together in front of him and just sort of leans back. Again, you saw this before when he was on the beach, and he leans back a little bit, almost to the point of being off balance, but not quite. And Prudence, your vision zooms up out of your head and into the eyes of your familiar, and looking down from the sky, you see on the side of the trail, about, I'd say, 60 feet ahead of you, is is a group. You see one, and then as Deer peers a little closer, you see two moving figures on the ground below, off the trail. They're not moving very quickly, and they're not moving away from the trail. They're just kind of slowly making their way down the trail in the direction of the party. Okay. At this distance, yeah, you can.
What was seen?
So two figures moving just off of the trail, about, what did I say, 60 feet in front of where you are, moving slowly in the direction towards you guys. Yeah, so at this distance, I would say Deer would have to move down a little bit lower. So Deer makes her way down. Okay. Seemingly unnoticed. Swoops down. And what she sees, I should say, are what appear to be some kind of bipedal hound, or something of that nature. It doesn't. It's wearing a very tattered armor. That you can see one of them has like a small strip of steel or some kind of rusted metal over one shoulder, and some tattered rags, and that's about it as far as it goes for armor. And as you get closer, roll a 2, you do notice a third figure is making its way. Each of these is the same, and they are each carrying what appear to be a spear. They are humanoid. They are bipedal, walking up on 2 legs, but you do notice that their legs are a digitigrade. Right, so they're like dog's legs. They are walking upright, and at this distance, that's about what you can notice. One of them, the one that's in front, has a very large chunk taken out of one of his ears.
I am getting sleepy in real life.
Okay, so you recall, Deer. We do, so it's 9. We do have about an hour left in the session, but if you would like to, I would predict.
No, I don't want to hold you up.
Well, no, I'd say probably at the end of this encounter, and then we can call it a night, and then move on to day 2 next time. All right, so Prudence telepathically commands Deer to return, and just as before, as Deer sort of lands on his shoulder, he stands upright and opens both of his hands. He says, "Enemies ahead. I think they've seen us, so we should get ready." Okay.
Are there trees by the road?
There are some. I wouldn't describe it as heavily wooded, but there's a good amount of shrubbery. Let me actually walk around and draw out the trail you're on. So.
Oh boy!
Yeah.
Visual
aids. Yeah, imagine that. So you're walking.
First time in an hour.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you have a roleplay heavy session. So right about there. This side you have tree. The other side, which is the side towards the river, does not have as many trees. The river is about, I'm not going to be able to draw because it's too far. It was about 100 feet that way is the river, and as it slopes down towards the river, the tree life becomes more sparse, and it becomes more of a rocky terrain. Up towards this direction is uphill, and it becomes more wooded, more grassy, a lot more wildlife. What is the marching order that we're operating in?
Well, I'm hiding behind a tree. I would like to hide behind a tree on the uphill side of the road.
All right, roll stealth on the. Yeah, roll stealth for me, please. What's the marching order of everyone else, please?
Rurik was taking the lead in the front since he came from Pendalo and knows the way.
You know where you're going. Okay, so you're in front. Prudence is immediately behind Rurik.
Yeah, and I guess I'll just be behind Prudence then if he's second.
Okay, I mean the path is wide. You can be next to them if you'd like. You don't have to be behind.
Okay, yeah, if it's wide enough, then I'll just be next to one of them.
Okay.
I'll be.
Let me.
Out 1 second.
Yeah, our cat's being obstinate.
All right, so let me pull out 1, 2, and 3. meeples. You do not currently... Actually, so 1, 2...
Oh.
So they're right
Did
about...
Prudence...
They're about here in this area-ish. You don't know exactly where they are, but I'm going to sort of just collectively throw them right here for now. Because that's about where Prudence was able to perceive through deer. Somewhere in this area. You just don't immediately see them. I had enough that deer can reach. Okay. So is it 17? Okay, good to know. Where's my sheet? There's my sheet. So you rolled a 17. Why did I leave my pen all the way over there? Good lord. So 17. Wisdom is +0. So.
Calm down.
Okay.
I'll be fine once.
Yes.
All right. So Zook, you duck behind one of these trees. I'm actually gonna throw you right about there. Actually, for the sake of this, I'm gonna actually show you where the trunks of the trees are, so you can actually know what space they cover.
It'd also be helpful for line of sight things.
Okay.
What the hell is my cat doing?
That's a grove.
Yeah. Actually, it should be more like this.
And now we can pretend it's a topological map.
Yes. So you're hidden there. Could I have everyone make a perception check for me, please?
Oh boy, one of these.
Man, we suck.
Yeah.
Or PK and I do.
Not good. The tanks don't see shit.
The tanks don't say anything, and the guy in front rolls the worst.
Let's see.
I'd also like to get out my...
All right. So, let me just double check. And...
The guys who have good scores rolled poorly, and the people with bad scores rolled well.
All right.
Yeah,
so,
right?
Zook, you are able to make out. There's 1, 2, and 3. All right. Actually, sorry. This way. 1, 2, and 3. They're making their way down the trail towards you. And
I will ready my bow.
yeah, nobody else sees anything. Congratulations. Let me just
Prudence got a 21.
switch gears here. Prudence, sorry, you both got 21s, right? So
Just
both...
Prudence. I got like a 12.
Oh, then why did I say that? Sorry, Prudence. I keep mixing scores up. Sorry, Prudence. Congratulations, you see them. Zook does not. You got some high rolls, man. If I could have everyone roll initiative for me, please.
Here we go.
How does that work?
Roll a d20, add whatever it says under the initiative block, which is usually just dexterity.
Double
18.
I will ask for that in just a minute.
Ah, I have a +0.
Sorry. All right. So,
Man, you have rolled 4 20 tonight.
Shigun, I think your initiative is like 2.
I thought I didn't have any because of my armor. I thought I was too impeded.
does it say
That
you have
might be the case.
Yeah, I believe.
I will look up the chainmail.
If you have heavy armor, I believe you just don't add your dex bonus, but you still roll for it. Let's see. Armor. Heavy armor.
I don't think that affects initiative.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't affect your initiative having heavy armor.
So I would still add my dex mod +2?
Yeah.
You want me to re-roll, or should I just treat it as a 22?
It just add whatever it was to what you rolled.
Okay, so I'll treat it as 22 then.
It's with heavy armor. There is a you don't add anything to your AC because of your dexterity.
Okay, that's probably what I was thinking of.
I don't get any. Yeah.
Okay, so Prudence, what was your initiative, please?
Shigun got a 22.
Shigun got a 22. Rurik?
Zook got an 18, and Rurik had a 14.
14. All right. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Top of the initiative round, we have Shigun, who... Could I have you make a... Before your round starts, could I have you make a perception check, please?
Okay.
I like this music.
Okay, 18. All right, so you are able to see these two. You are not able to see the one behind. But you do know they're generally in that area because Prudence told you. So. What would you like to do?
How even is that terrain where they're standing?
Even enough to where I'd consider it even. It's at a it's like a 5-degree, 10-degree incline at best.
Trying to decide.
Well, you do have pretty.
For
I kind of wish I'd done it for you.
I'm going to take a few steps forward to make sure that I'm in front of the group.
Okay.
And I'm going to take Prudence's suggestion so I don't get too far.
Okay, so at this point in Prudence, just bear in mind you haven't come to your initiative yet. You are the next one in line, but you won't be able to communicate anything until your initiative. So just right in front of the group, 10 feet. You have 30 feet of movement.
Yeah, I'll take 15 feet, so an extra 5 feet.
15? Just right here? On the edge of the crate, or slightly in? Does it matter?
Whichever's fine.
Okay. It's the same. Moving diagonally just once counts as 5 feet. Twice is more, but we'll get there when we get there.
Right.
Would you like to do any actions? You can opt to hold your action until a trigger, if you would like.
Yeah, if I hold my action, will that let me strike at an enemy if they get too close?
Yeah, you can definitely hold your action until an enemy comes in melee range.
I will do that then.
Okay.
Does that require spending a reaction, or is that just like delaying your action?
So holding an action, I believe, uses your reaction, but let me confirm that because it's been a long time since I've held just an attack.
That's what I thought whenever I remember reading over it. It basically like,
ready. So yeah, sometimes blah 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 blah. You can take the ready. Yeah, it lets you use your reaction.
Okay,
yeah. So
yeah,
using the yeah, it uses your reaction. So.
Yeah, so you could ready and attack for an approach.
Now
target.
Prudence, you're up. So I will assume Prudence holds out a hand and says, "Don't get too close." Magic. Okay, and I believe, what's the range? Range is 90 feet. Yeah, you're in range. Let me see what your perception was real quick. Your perception was
target or a point.
Sleep is a so anytime it says that you can target a point, it's a point somewhere in that range, unless it says targeting a creature specifically. Prudence, could I have you roll perception for me, please?
An area effect.
And would you like to move? Okay. So at this point, yeah, oh yeah. So you're now able to see them. So I believe it's a 20-foot radius. Yeah, 20-foot radius. So, boop, right here. That will not affect any of your party. Go ahead and roll 5d8, please. 13. All right. You see.
That's not good rolls.
Yeah. Wow. You see one of them. You see this one in the middle, sort of snort and shake his head, blinking really, really hard, and he shakes it off. All right. Zook. Sorry, Prudence. Would you like to move, or anything else? Okay, 40 feet away from the closest enemy. So that's going to be the closest enemy to you. So you actually are 40 feet from about. Yeah, so right about here would be about 40 feet from the closest. So the closest enemy is kind of fuzzy because there's one of these two. I'm saying this one. That's about 40 feet there. It was about 15. That was 5 feet because you moved diagonally once. All right, Zook, you're up.
Do I see any of them?
Yes, at this point you are aware of where they are. And
okay.
they have noticed that the party, they can't see you, but they have noticed that the party has readied themselves and is now sort of, they've broken stealth and they're making their way towards you.
Okay, I will fire at the one. Which one should I fire at?
Using your crossbow?
Short bow. I do not have a
That's
crossbow.
right. Sorry. Everybody's been asking me about crossbows the past couple weeks, so sorry. Short bow, yes.
I'll fire at the one nearest me.
Okay, so this guy here? Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, make a roll.
How do I roll for that?
Roll a d20, add your dexterity modifier. And your proficiency modifier, sorry.
Okay, right, so the attack bonus, alright, so that would be plus 6.
Whatever your dex is, which I don't have in front of me. Yeah, go ahead and roll damage. And then, so roll whatever the die is and add your dex modifier.
So that's 5.
So 5 because you add your dex. But yeah, congratulations, you rolled a 1.
You
so
rolled
5.
a 1 on that.
That was on the one closest to you, so... Okay.
So,
would you like
it's a sure shot that hits him in the foot.
So, attacking breaks stealth. Is there anything else you'd like to do this turn?
I think I can hide as a bonus action.
Do you have that characteristic as a rogue? I don't remember how rogues work with that. Normally hiding is an action. But you may, as a rogue, you may have a trait or a feat that allows you to...
Nope, that's at 2nd level, so I don't get to do that.
Okay. Okay, do you want to move at all?
Wait. I have 25 movement, which means I cannot move across the road. I don't have enough speed for that.
Not quite.
I can change cover, but that would mean moving closer to them, and I'm not sure if I want to do that. Maybe I can move, like...
You can, and you, bearing in mind you would also not be stealth in that cover, they would know where you are.
Okay, so I will move a step to the right just to stay behind the tree, but also, like,
okay. It's right there.
Get a bit further away from them.
Okay. You're right about there. Alright. Let's see. So now it is one of the enemy's turns. And he is going to 5, 15, 20 come directly into range with you. Go ahead and roll for your attack, Shigun, because that was your trigger. It has now come within melee range of you. Do the enemies appear to have weapons other than spears? You don't... at this point in combat, you don't see any other weapons. You see them hefting spears in 2 hands. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead and roll. Your do you have 5 strength?
Yes.
He does.
+5. You have a 20. Jesus. All right.
Yeah.
Oh right. Humans. Fucking humans, man. All right. Yeah. Go ahead. So that's an 11.
Way to fucking eviscerate the.
That is a
That's my damage with my long sword.
So as it comes at you, you see that spear prepared. In its motion, you just bring your sword up and shoof, cut straight across its face, pulling off quite a bit of flesh. It reels from the pain and just growls at you, and it goes to make an attack against you. Let's see. I'm gonna use my lapis lazuli die for the first attack of the night.
Oh, good.
Oh, good God, please. It's not multi-attack, is it? No, it is not. Okay. That is a 13, so no. So it's so 13 damage. Just watch the numbers at the table, please. 13 to hit, which does not, because you have 19 AC for some ungodly reason. So he goes to thrust forward with his spear, but you just hit him too hard, man. You just easily dodge out of the way. All right, that's gonna end its turn. Who is Rurik? You're up.
Alright.
On your turn, you can move, action, bonus action.
You got a hammer.
Yes, I know.
And
I was
spells.
debating on doing one thing, but it seems see, let me get a better look at this video.
Yeah, I realize now that I kind of didn't position the map super well. I positioned it really well for me because actually the edge of the camera here is where the trail stops, but I should have pushed it forward. Anyway.
Where is the target that just tried to pass or attack Shigun?
Shigun? That's that's because it's behind Prudence there.
Okay.
Sorry, the meeple are tiny and your figures are tall. There, is that better?
That was heckin' bamboozling me. I am going to. Let's see.
Oh, I could have used my sneak attack. I should have.
For the sake of it, I believe. Don't you just get it? That's not something you have to. I mean, you do obviously have to know about it on.
Well,
the turn,
I
but...
forgot to invoke it.
Okay.
Well, actually, did I get advantage on the attack roll? Because if I didn't get advantage, then I don't get sneak attack.
If you, what would give you advantage?
I don't know. That's up to you, sir.
I can't think of anything that would have given you
presumably
advantage. So.
Like being stealthed and they don't know where I am, but whatever.
So that would be a condition that does give you sneak attack. It doesn't give you advantage on the attack, but you do get to roll sneak attack damage.
Okay.
Because you were stealth. So actually, go ahead and roll that after the fact.
Okay.
Just in the future, if you forget, I'm not gonna let you remind, but this is literally the first combat, so I'll let you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So 2 damage. All right. So Rurik, sorry we interrupted your turn. What's up?
No, you're fine. I'm going to move within range of. Or what's striking range for melee weapons and stuff?
Immediately surrounding you.
Okay, I'm gonna move within striking range of the target in front of me, making sure I position myself between him and Prudence, so I'm effectively in Prudence in an attempt to block line of sight from his comrades to Prudence.
5, 10.
And I am going to give him a mighty bludgeoning swing with my warhammer.
Okay, so you have 2 options here. Either you can be here or you can be here. It's up to you.
Let me double click that video again. Show those again.
So you can be either here or here and still be able to attack this enemy that's right in front of you here.
There's one of these options that I would prefer.
What? What was that?
Bearing in mind, you have arrows coming from a certain direction.
Yes, I know. I'm keeping track of that. I'm thinking, what was the other option again?
You can be here, here, or here. Those 3 positions, and you'll still be within attacking range of this guy.
That first one was the one I was envisioning.
This one here? Okay, just off the trail.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead and roll an attack.
Let me go back to this.
Which I believe for you is strength plus proficiency, plus a d20.
Yes.
And it's a friggin' warhammer, so good lord. Alright, yeah, go ahead and roll damage. Which is your whatever it is plus your strength mod.
Oh, plus strength mod?
Plus strength.
Plus
Oh,
strength.
I forgot to track that.
What's your... I don't have it right here in front of me.
1. So that would be 5.
So it'd be a 5. Okay. So you swing... boy. You swing with your warhammer just overhead. Whack! You hit it. You actually crack. You hear the shoulder crack. It just... And he stares at you. And one of its arms hangs limp on its side. It's still holding the spear with the other. It's looking like it's on its last legs. Let's see. Who is up next? The other one of them, which is this one, is up now. So this one, 5, 15, 20, moves right here, is now on the trail and facing, right there, you can kind of see it there, is going to make a spear attack on Shigun.
Okay.
Where'd I put the card? That is that's a 19, so congratulations, it hits.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, for friggin' once, right? And it will deal 1d8 plus 2. You will take 8 points of piercing damage as the spear just jams into your side. Your armor manages to take most of it, but you do feel the point of the spear pierce your skin.
1 second.
Oh, yikes.
I do have the trait Heavy Armor Master, and that will reduce...
That's right, you have damage reduction.
That's right.
It's, reduce it by half, correct? Say again?
It reduces non-magic bludgeon, slash, and piercing by 3.
By 3. Okay, so you take 5 damage.
Okay.
That's right, I forgot about your heavy armor mastery.
A lot of damage.
Okay. And it is going to use the last of its movement. You know, it's going to stay where it is. This one is going to go 5, 10, 20, 25. It's going to stay here. And you now see, excuse me, you now see this one is holding a longbow that pulls out from its back, and it's going to take a shot at Rurik from a pretty close distance. But unfortunately, actually no, I'll have him move. There.
Don't ranged attacks have disadvantage at close range?
Within melee range. Within melee range.
Which is why he's not in melee range.
Oh, he's not.
Right.
Okay.
If he were here, I threw him away.
Okay.
If he were here, then yes. But you don't have to be
I
very
gotcha.
far away to be considered outside melee range. Let's see. So he's gonna roll. That's a 14, which I don't believe hits.
My AC is 18.
So that's a no. He pulls
That
out
was
the
a
arrow and
one-handed
just
swing with me.
whoosh, whiffs right past you. Actually, zooming, hits the tree over here. Cool. That's it for that. Back up to the top of the order. Shigun, you're up.
Okay. I'm going to make a strike at the creature that's badly damaged, the one in front of me.
Okay. Yep, the one that you hit before. All right. Go ahead and roll.
Good plays.
That is a
Oops.
ludicrous.
Whoa. My
two
friggin'
hit.
laptop just froze up. Sorry, you got a 19. Yeah, go ahead.
Plus 7.
That's a ludicrous to hit
Oh,
roll.
you rolled a 6. Yeah, unfortunately, you go for, as you went with an upswing to hit his face, you come around, you come down for a second swing, and it just hits dirt. Is there anything else you'd like to do on this turn?
Wait, did that hit or not?
Was it a 6? No. Or a 7?
The roll to hit was a 19.
Oh! It was a roll to hit to 19. Sorry, you rolled again. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, my damage was 6.
Your damage was 6. Yeah, so you come around and you come straight down. The sword actually embeds itself into the skull of the creature about halfway. And it just falls limp, and it almost brings the sword down with it, but you wrench it away, and it just falls to the ground. Defeated.
Yay.
Alright. And... Okay. Let's see, who is up? The next person is Prudence. You're up. And I really hope the overlay didn't freeze, because I'm still waiting for my computer my laptop. Can you get that? Okay. So you say, "Oh, it's a good thing you hurt them," and poof, and you cast Toll the Dead. Sorry. What did I mean? Oh, sorry, these ones haven't been injured yet. You say, "This usually helps when they're hurt, but," and you cast Toll the Dead, which I believe you just roll for damage and they do a save. Is that correct? Yes, they just have to succeed on a save. What is your save DC? That's a lot of them are like a lot of the cantrips are like that. DC's 13. Okay. Wisdom save, and that is a 17. So, unfortunately, you point. Pointing? Yeah. You point at the one that's wielding a short bow, and you hear a cacophonous sound of ringing bells throughout the air, and it looks around as it hears the bells, and then directs its attention straight at you, with seemingly no harmful effect. Alright, is there anything else you'd like to do? Totally does a great spell, though. It's a great cantrip.
It has greater effect on something that's already taken damage.
That's what he said. Hurts more if they're already hurt.
Perhaps you should have directed your attention to something else.
All of them. The other two haven't been hit yet. Take cover on the east side of the road if you can. So you won't be able to hide, but you will be able to move away, if you'd like to just move away. Okay. Yeah, I'll say you'd be able to get to this tree here. So you are, this tree wouldn't be considered cover. I'll say if you move the other direction to next to Zook here, that's considered half cover. Alright, so, they're dead. Zook, you're up.
Okay, I'm going to move as far to the right across the road as I can.
With your little gnome legs? Yeah.
Yeah, 25 speeds, that's 5 squares.
That's right over to the other side of the road.
And then I will attack, and let me look this up again. I should have had this up. Okay.
What are you looking for?
Okay. I will roll. I will shoot. I will fire at the gray one standing next to our fighter.
Okay, over here. Yep.
Which gives me sneak attack.
You are not stealth. Oh no, sorry, you're right. It's within melee.
Yeah, but it's next to an ally.
Yeah, that's right. I always forget that. I'm used to the way 3.5 does it. Anyway, go on.
So it's D20 plus 6 to hit.
So sneak attack damage if the enemy is distracted or otherwise engaged. Unfortunately, 7 will not hit. However, let me just reiterate for their sake, if you land a successful hit and you are either stealth, so they can't see you, or the enemy is engaged, i.e. in melee range of another friendly, you get bonus damage from the sneak attack. It's a characteristic of rogues that lets them do extra stuff.
Oh, so it's unique to rogues.
Yeah, it's specifically a rogue
cool
thing. 196. All right, so yeah, unfortunately a 7.
Yes.
As you scurry across the road, on your way over, you turn and fire. You shoot. You can't fire with a bow. You turn and shoot, and it just flies past, up into the woods. All right.
Also, by the way, I'm keeping track of my arrows.
Okay. Yeah, you got 2 so far, so.
So I'm
at
18.
So that's gonna be it for you, because I don't think you have any other bonus actions that you can take.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Let's see. The one that would have been next is dead. Rurik, you're up.
Alright.
What would you like to do?
There's an injured ally. No, I shouldn't suggest things like that.
The target that's to the left under the trees, does that provide some degree of cover, or how does that work?
Being under a tree? No. Were it behind a tree? Yes. But it is not hiding behind a tree at all.
Okay.
Unless you're a helicopter.
These are not particularly clever individuals.
How much damage did you take earlier? 5? I love this music, by the way.
I try.
It's very nice. All right, let's see. Neither of those have taken their turn yet, have they?
This round, no.
I'm going to... I'm going to move closer to the leftmost target.
This one here? Okay.
Yes.
Just within melee range?
That one we swing with the warhammer as well.
Okay. Whoops, you're obscuring it from the camera. Yeah, go ahead and make an attack. Oops.
Attack bonus. Is that proficiency plus strength?
Yeah, with a warhammer proficiency plus strength, which is 2 plus whatever. 13. Where'd I put the card? Because normally I don't have to care. Yeah, unfortunately, so you take a swing and it does connect, but he kind of pulls a little bit with his arm and it hits that piece of metal. The one piece of metal on his body, you clang into it, and unfortunately don't deal any damage to him.
All right. Then after my swing, I make a quick prayer to cast Healing Word on Shigun as a bonus action.
Can you do that as a bonus action? It is
indeed a bonus action. It's like a quick spoken, low potency healing spell.
Yeah. No, I was just confirming that because it's been a long time since I've tried to do that. Okay, yeah, so you turn and you clutch your holy symbol and to Paylor and you mutter a couple of divine words and you heal. What's the healing on that? 1d4 plus your wisdom modifier.
And let me check something. Right. My recovery attempts also get 2 plus or an additional 2 plus the spell's level.
Is that a characteristic of life domain clerics?
Yes, it should be available at first level.
Okay. Yeah, I have literally never played a life domain cleric, so
that's fine.
I'll believe
I'm just making sure I got all my ducks in a row here. So that's 3 5 6.
Yeah. So what is...
That's 1.
Yeah, so it's a d4 plus whatever...
It'll be 6,
plus wisdom plus your... whatever it is for your life domain.
Yep, it's a total of plus 3 here.
Okay.
Or plus 6, sorry.
Okay, so a spark of light sort of arcs from your finger across to Shigun, and the scrape that you felt in the side from the spear just instantly heals back up Shigun.
Awesome.
Because I believe that brings you back up to full. All right.
Yeah.
Is that your turn? I don't think you have like you have 10 feet of movement left if you'd like to move, but
right.
You,
I forgot
you can break up your move.
Do something and then move again.
Bearing in mind, if you move away, you will provoke an attack.
Oh, right, that would disengage and trigger possible reaction.
Right, because you have no more actions left to take a disengage action.
It provoke an attack of opportunity.
No, I'm not referring to sorry, I meant disengage as a word, not an action.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
If you want to stay there, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stand my ground. With
Okay.
Hammer and shield.
Alrighty, so it is now the one standing next to Shigun's turn, and he looks up at you. You're somewhat significantly taller than this thing. He growls and he throws his spear to the side and he lunges at you to take a bite. That is going to be a 20 to hit, which I believe hits.
Oh god, yeah.
Because you have a 19. Alright, so it's going to be not a lot. That you take 4 points of piercing damage as she just latches onto your arm.
Does that factor in my damage reduction?
It does not. Sorry, you take 1 point of damage as he latches onto your arm. Most of his teeth sink into the metal of your armor. One of them sort of pokes its way through, and you feel a pierce into your skin. But for the most part, you take very little damage from that. And he growls at you as he settles down, noticing that you just kind of shake your arm and laugh. Excuse me. All right. This one as well, taking cue from the first one, throws his bow to the side and lunges at Rurik to take a bite. And he rolls a natural 1. So, let's see. Get a couple of dice here and find out.
He bites his tongue.
Oh boy! So he lunges at you to take a bite, trips over a branch and falls prone.
Oh.
He hits the ground. Does anyone here speak Undercommon?
Prudence?
Prudence does.
I think Prudence does. Prudence, you hear this entity shouting at the other one, "I think this was a mistake," as he stands. Uses half his movement to stand. Alright, back up to the top of the order. Shigun, you're up.
Is this creature latched onto my arm, or...
No. He didn't grapple with the attack, he just bit and then stepped back.
Okay. In that case, is he still in melee range?
Grappling rules?
The silver one in front of you? Yeah,
Okay.
he's absolutely still in melee range.
I will take a strike at him with my longsword then.
Okay. Go ahead and roll an attack.
Ooh.
Once again! Actually, this wasn't once again, it was Rurik last turn. But this time, you swing your sword from one side of your body to the other, and you just barely graze the front of him as he takes a quick step back out of your attack. Alright, is there anything else you'd like to do? Would you like to move on this turn?
I don't think so. I think I'd like to keep him here so he doesn't try to get past me to the others.
Okay. Alrighty. So, let's see who's up. I believe Prudence is up. That is correct. Neither of these enemies has been damaged yet.
We tried, I'm sorry.
Come close a couple times. Both of you have come close, but unfortunately not quite there.
Fortunately.
Unfortunately for you guys. Fortunately for them.
I wonder how long their lucky streak will last.
Cast the same spell.
Because I'm counting their cards. I'm trying to do puns. It's not working.
Well, the attempt was made. That's all that matters. So actually, from where you are, you actually don't have to move out of where you're standing to cast the spell. For flavor's sake, I'll say you take one step to the left, and then you can step back afterwards. So you're gonna cast Toll the Dead. So let me. It's a Wisdom saving throw. That is a 16, I think. What is your DC? It's 13. Right? Yeah. Unfortunately, once again, you hear echoing throughout the hills, bells chiming and going off, and he settles down and tenses up and just, and you understand Undercommon. You understand him saying, "I can't stand these noises." And during your turn, using your part of your free action, you said, "Hey guys, I think they're scared." Let's see. All right, Zook, you're up.
Okay, I move behind the tree to my right and then fire at the gray one again.
Okay, so.
And I still get sneak attack.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Roll for your attack first.
That's d20 plus 6
dex plus proficiency, so whatever that is.
16.
16. All right, yeah. Go ahead and roll for damage.
2d6 because 1d6 from short bow and then another d6.
Yep, for your
from
sneak attack, and then add dexterity.
7. Ooh, plus dexterity?
7 plus dex. Yep, ranged attacks get your dexterity modifier added.
Okay, so that is 11.
Well, if it's the plus 4, yeah, 11. All right, so an arrow streaks out and it lands. You hear it vibrate in its chest. It's and you can almost feel for this thing. You can see that it's hurt pretty bad just from that one hit. Still standing, but it reaches up and grabs the arrow and snaps it, throws it to the side. And then I'll just move you one more so you actually have cover. Alright, is that going to be your turn?
Yeah, I think I'm out of stuff to do.
Okay. Alright, so that is going to
I will yell to the party to, like, keep them occupied.
Okay, yeah.
Because I only get sneak attack if they're right next to it.
Yeah, keep them busy, guys! Rurik, you're up.
Hello, Rurik?
No, he's. Yeah, I can hear him considering.
Yes, sorry, just thinking.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with the sound of consideration.
Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and take another swing at this thing with the warhammer.
Okay, go ahead and roll for attack. Y'all gotta get some physical dice, man. There's nothing like rolling physical dice.
I know.
8. Oof. All right.
Damn it.
So I believe this is your third strike. You swing and you almost catch him on the backswing, but he actually if they were on human legs, you could almost describe it as a pirouette, as this thing spins out of the way and lands on its back foot with both hands on its spear, just growling at you. Okay, is that gonna be your turn? Digitigrade, like dog-like legs.
Digitigrade?
If you're a furry, you already know what that means.
I've never heard that term in my life.
We aren't properly qualified for this sort of discourse.
Oh shit. Hey.
What happened to the stream?
Oh, shit, hang on. I accidentally joined a voice channel on my laptop and I'm streaming off of my desktop, so give me one quick second. Disconnect. Join call. Turn on camera. There you go.
Yay.
Hey.
Sorry about that.
No
anyway, So is that going to be your turn? Your option at this point being move or don't.
Is Zook within earshot of us and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Properly? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I wasn't sure how well how sound carries in combat and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you'll have to shout, but yeah, absolutely.
Right. I yell at Zook that you could probably pick up that arrow that lodged itself into that tree you're next to.
Okay.
And noted.
Continue.
You turn and you point and say, "Hey, there's an arrow." Just bearing in mind mechanically that you do have to take a little bit of time to retrieve arrows. But anyway, right. That's a good point actually. He could very well take a turn to just grab an arrow out of a tree if he ever runs out.
Yeah, well, I wanted to just remind him.
Yeah, or for flavor. Yeah, you do what you want, man. Okay, is that gonna be your turn?
Yeah.
Okay. So next up.
I suck at attacking.
It's just weird for a cleric. You've been rolling not great, unfortunately. Let's see.
I mean, I have nothing else I can attack with.
So now it's going to be this one who, with an arrow, like the end of an arrow sticking out of his chest, just breathes heavily. He is actually going to disengage from Shigun and move as far as he can this way. So that's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And he's going to move right there.
Wouldn't you have a thing of opportunity there, or?
He took a disengage action, so specifically you do not get an attack of opportunity. However, he can't do anything else this turn. That's his action. Disengaging was his action.
Oh, okay. That's how that works.
What are these things? Intelligence? Yeah, they have an intelligence of.
Sorry, I'm not trying to
not a lot
metagame or anything.
No, that's it's an absolutely fair question. Yeah, at this point, no, that he specifically took a disengage. And that's going to be his turn. The next one is going to be this one, who's actually going to move here, just one over, next to Rurik, and he's going to pick up the spear on the ground and thrust with one hand. That is going to be... that's going to be a 4 to hit, so no. You've never been particularly nimble, but just this once, you see the spear coming at you, and you actually duck out of the way. It's amazing. All right, and that's going to be his turn. Coming back up to the top of the initiative, Shigun, you're up.
Okay. Since the one I've been engaging is fleeing, I'm going to assist Rurik with the one that he's currently fighting, since that's the bigger threat.
Thank you. I can't hit for shit.
Okay. You're just going to move straight over?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to move 5, 10, 15 right here. And I assume take a swing, so go ahead and roll attack.
Quick jump over the candlestick.
What's your... sorry, Zook, remind me, you have a short bow?
Oh, God damn it.
Man, our rolls are crap.
Oof. All right, well.
This guy's a ninja.
Has he even been damaged yet?
He's not.
No.
So you
so.
rush over to aid your dwarven friend and draw your sword across, going horizontally. And you duck. Prudence, you hear, "Oh shit!" And he ducks out of the way. See, he understands Undercommon. These things only speak 2 languages, and one of them's Undercommon. So, is that gonna be your turn?
Yes.
Alright, Prudence, you're up. I know what you're about to ask. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Yes, you're in range.
Ooh.
You'll cast Sleep. Where would you like to cast Sleep? I will say there's probably a way to do that, but let me see. This is on the undamaged enemy you're trying it for? Where did I put my... There it is. I will say... I imagine there's a way to do it. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So if you aim your spell right here, that will only affect this target. Right? Yeah, right here. That will only affect the other one. The other one has been hit with, I believe, just the one attack, just the arrow. But he dealt 11 points of damage, and basically a lung collapsed when that happened. It hurt. With the sleep spell? Okay. Go ahead and roll, just in case. Where is sleep? Why am I... Okay!
Oh, you want to...
Jesus Christ!
Where was this? Alright.
How does sleep work?
It's based on the number of hit points. So you roll...
Hey, it's a flush!
That's the number of hit points. Hey, look at that. The number of hit points that you can put to sleep is that number starting with the highest, going down to the lowest.
I see.
Alright, so you snap your fingers and then point at the enemy across that's running away. And as he runs, his motions just slow. And he falls face first into the dirt.
Good, I was afraid that won't get away.
Oh, good.
Is it the...
Yeah, it's weakest first.
You can use.
Oh, in ascending order. Okay, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter because there's only one target. But yeah, he trips and just eats dirt. Okay. Is that gonna be your turn?
I assume you announced your intention to attempt to capture it.
I mean, he didn't, but you saw that thing fall. That's all you know.
Yeah.
You move closer.
Because if he doesn't announce it, then I'm going to,
within
to shoot at it again.
You want to?
Because I don't want it escaping.
I assume outside melee range.
But I guess if it's asleep, then it's not escaping.
Inside melee range. Okay. So 5, 15, 20. Right there. You're now surrounding this thing on 3 sides. Zook, you're up.
Hey, I don't want to miss the party. I'm going to run towards the yellow guy as far as my movement allows me.
Okay.
And then...
It's right about there.
Can I target this guy with... Can I fire an arrow at this guy, or is there too many people?
If you take a shot, he will have 3/4 cover because there's a tree and an ally standing in the way.
Should I
You can take a dash
anyway?
action. You can take a dash action to get closer, but you won't be able to do anything else this turn. Or you can take a dash action to try and go around the other side, if you would like. But again,
Wait, how far does dash let me move? 5 additional squares?
Double your movement. So 5, 10, 15, 20.
What? How does
30.
3/4 covers work?
Be right about here. It adds, I believe, 4. No, it adds 6, I think, to their. It adds a lot to their AC. I believe it's 6, but I'd actually have.
Oh, it makes their AC higher. Oh, good lord.
Correct. And if there's an ally in the way, you do have to roll to make sure you don't hit your ally. Plus 5.
Okay, I'm gonna dash to get closer. Maybe circle round.
To this side? Alright,
Yeah.
15, 20, 25. You get to about here with a dash action.
Okay, and that's my turn.
And yeah, unfortunately you got little gnome legs, so... Alright, let's see, that was Zook. Rurik, you're up. You're just pummeling. At this point, you're just pummeling on this guy. He's not taking damage, but...
It's comical.
But good lord.
It's like I don't have any other way of contributing anything else more useful right now. So I mean,
you've got Sacred Flame, like you've got spells.
I do, but as we've seen with Toll of the Dead, the fucking DC of 13 is really easy to win over.
It depends. This thing has been just rolling really well. for its
My
wisdom.
plan is to stab it.
Sacred Flame is a Dex save instead of a Wisdom save.
I don't really know how well their stats and saves and stuff.
You don't, but you do know the things that target the mind haven't been working so well.
Things that what? Sorry.
Target the mind.
That's true. Does he have any, he doesn't have any cover from my perspective, does he?
Oh, absolutely not. No.
I didn't think so.
Generally, when you're in melee range, there isn't going to be anything between unless you have a special circumstance like a door or a wall or something.
Fair.
Oh, thanks guys for still be watching. Sorry, I have the list of people watching on Twitch and oh, thanks guys. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
Alright. I'm going to step back about 10 feet. It's 2 squares, I think.
Okay, you will provoke an attack of opportunity if you do that.
Oh, I will? Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Can you disengage as your action, or do you want to?
It depends on the spell that he wants to cast. He may not have time to do it.
I forgot about that. I'm just going to use Sacred Flame then.
Okay.
See if that does anything different.
What's your save DC?
That's at the bottom of the sheet. My save DC is 13.
13. It rolled a 1, so congratulations. It's 1d8.
Alright, 1d8 radiant damage.
Technically it rolled a... Holy goodness. Alright. Congratulations on getting a high roll. So you rolled an 8. So, you... I believe it's a point, right? Flame-like radiance.
Does this get any bonuses?
No bonuses.
I didn't think so.
Stream chat's frozen.
Yeah, I'm...
Like the overlay.
I'm walking over to do it right now. Boop. So you clutch your holy symbol to Paylor, and your eyes flare as a flame appears above, as a singular flame appears above this thing's head and just slams down into it, searing its flesh, dealing quite a bit of damage to it, and and Prudence, you would recognize a word if it were speaking words, but it's just growling with frustration. Okay. Is that gonna be it?
Yeah, that's good for me.
Alrighty.
Stand my ground.
I believe now...
Righteous is right.
Is there a save? There's not a save. Wow, so he's asleep. He's still asleep. Moving on to the last one. He sees the 3 people surrounding him. And he lunges forward at the apparently unarmored tiefling in front of him to take a bite. And that is not good. That's going to be a 12 to hit. I don't know what your AC is off the top of my head. Yeah, it's a...
According to this, that's 12. According to the overlay, that's 12.
Your AC. Oh yeah, I should probably just look up. You see it. So he rolled a 12. So he lunges forward at you suddenly, and you raise one of your arms, and he actually ducks under the arm and bites into your side, dealing 4 points of piercing damage. As he stands back, you can see blood sort of not pouring so much as just oozing out of cauterized wounds from the sacred flame. He's breathing pretty heavy. All right, that's...
I don't suspect this thing is going to live to take another turn.
So that's his... Goodness, why isn't the screen sheet coming out? So that's his turn. Coming back up to the top of initiative, Shigun, you are up.
Alright, we're going to try to finish this guy off. I'm going to take another swing and hope that it'll hit.
Okay. 14. Alright, so you swing with your sword. Once again, it connects, and it hits his shoulder, But once again, you have now hit that one piece of metal on his body. And it sticks to the metal for a second, and you yank it back, but unfortunately do not deal any damage to him.
Crap.
Ah, man.
Got some real interesting rolls, guys.
Yeah, we do. I use them all seeing into the future.
Yep, that's yep.
And you couldn't see this.
Yeah.
You used that vision to scry at the DM behind the DM screen. All right, are you gonna take any other actions this turn?
I don't think so. I don't want to give up our current.
Alrighty, Prudence, you're up.
He's tolling the dead.
Why would he have gotten an attack of opportunity? Anyway. So you are told the dead. It's a wisdom saving throw. Yeah. He rolled a 17. So unfortunately, once again, you point. This time you point straight at him. Your finger is an inch from this thing's chest, and everyone around you, you hear bells gonging and going off. And both of his ears sort of swivel around on his head, trying to locate the source. Yes, just firebolt the middle of the group. Trying to locate the source of this sound, he looks around, but there's nothing to be heard, nothing to be seen. Unfortunately, made his save and did not receive any damage.
Nice party trick, Prudence.
Is that going to be your turn? Alrighty. Zook, you're up.
Me. Okay,
no,
I will run. Yeah, well, I will run around to the remaining side, and I will stab him with my rapier.
5, 15, 20. Alright, go ahead and roll for an attack with your rapier.
Okay.
Rapier's finesse, are you going to be using dex or strength?
I'm using dex.
I assume dex, yeah, okay.
So, and plus proficiency, so that's plus 6. 18.
Alright. As you're running, you draw your rapier and instantly take a swipe as soon as you reach him. And it connects, dealing how much damage?
Okay. 1d8 plus 1d6 because I get sneak attack from this.
Alright, and it connects, and you feel the blade slash across his stomach, and you see actually a bit of his flesh rips off and flies into a tree nearby. Still standing, but he clutches his stomach. Looks around at each of you. Alright, is that going to be your turn?
Is there something I could do to try and get him prone? I assume not.
No, the only other thing you could do is use your remaining 5 feet of movement, but I don't know if you want
to.
No,
I'm sticking here. I'm staying here.
Alright, Rurik, you're up. Yeah, knocking someone prone is its own action. Rurik, you are up. What would you like to do?
Are we allowed to ask remaining HP values of our party members?
Strictly speaking, I try to avoid specific numbers, but I'm a little softer about players talking to each other than you asking about enemies.
That's fine.
But for reference, it looks like that bite hurt pretty bad.
Yeah. Let me check something.
Once we get into higher numbers, I'm gonna care a little bit less, but for now, I try to avoid it just because it's towing the line of metagaming. So.
That's fair. I wanted to be sure I wasn't like violating things.
You can always ask how they look, and I will try to describe to the best of my ability how bad they look, and it looks like that hurt. Or they can describe to the best of their ability. On a scale of 1 to 11, how do you feel?
Actually,
you get away with that trick once.
Really
how much pain are you feeling?
That because he's a.
What would you like to do?
I am going to take a swing at the thing with my. Oh, actually, should I do that or stick with it? Oh, wait a minute.
Once we kill this thing, the encounter is over.
You're gonna hold.
I know.
You're gonna hold your. What are you gonna hold your action for? What's the trigger?
I'm not holding my action. I just have a question.
Oh yeah, what's up?
Can you do a cantrip and a bonus action spell?
If the cantrip, you can cast the cantrip as an action.
Let me. I got this. If the cantrip is one action, and the spell is one bonus action, yes, you can.
All right. I would like to cast Sacred Flame.
Okay. As the cantrip, I assume. So go ahead.
Yes.
What's your save is 13, right?
Yes.
And it's Dex. He rolled a 12. Go ahead and roll damage. It's a D8, I believe.
Oh.
2 damage. And with that, once again, your eyes spark with Palor's might as a flame, not as large as the one before, but a flame nonetheless, hovers in the air and slams down, this time across his shoulder, across his whole body, leaving a huge scar across the front. And he falls to the ground, lifeless. All right, and then I assume
now I can go to bed.
I assume you were going to use the spell to do healing word or something like that. I guess you do cure wounds because you're within touch range if you have that prepared.
Well, that requires an action.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, my bad. You're right.
I was going to use healing word.
Okay, you can go ahead and cast healing word. That's 1d4 plus wisdom modifier.
The overlay is stuck.
Of course it is. No, it isn't. That's fine. Alright, so you, Prudence, you heal up 7 damage, which I believe brings you back up to full.
Well, the overlay missed 3 messages.
Did it? Oh, well. It's because Discord is stupid. Alright.
Well, Prudence?
So that is... He's dead now. That's the other one. So the other one is still on the ground asleep. And he's got... Let me switch to the correct music now. Alright.
It's about 10:15 now.
Yeah, we gotta go pretty quick. So, for the sake of brevity... Yeah, I've been tracking the turns. For the sake of brevity, you tie this enemy up. What would you like to do with them? And as soon as you start to jostle them, once their hands are fully tied, they do wake up. They look up at each of you. Oops, I knocked the camera slightly. And you're each standing over this enemy.
I assume since we're interrogating it, my bow is drawn.
You could have your bow drawn, absolutely.
I will.
Okay, so you knock its spear away. The bow it had dropped in its haste to get away, and you tie a rope around its neck, and you actually hold the rope under your foot, so if it tries to flee, it's not able to get away. And you will interrogate an undercommon. What would you like to ask him? Oh, good. Someone just tried to log in my Ubisoft account in Peru.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, so what would you like to ask? Why the group attacked us? In this guttural voice, these guttural tones of undercommon, he says, "You were there, and you looked tasty."
I actually need to use their bathroom real quick.
Alright, is there anything else you'd like to ask? We're now over time, so just want to scoot this one along a little bit.
I motion to Prudence to give me a cue.
Okay, yeah, you hold up your bow. He says, looks like they were just hungry. Should we let them go? If you don't want anything with them. So he's asking the rest of the group if you want anything or if you want to let them go.
I will wait on how the rest of the group responds.
Concern I have is if it could be a potential danger to the village. Even though it's a little bit of a trek, I don't know how I feel about leaving it wandering about, but it is wounded, so...
Wounded pretty bad.
Just say the word. My bow is still drawn.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so Prudence is... Excuse me. I have no reason to keep them here. And the creature looks up at Prudence, who he now knows understands him. Yes, yes, please.
I relax my bow.
Okay. He does hear your bow creak back into position. His ear swivels, but he doesn't turn his head.
I guess we're letting the diamond dog free.
He's badly wounded, so I doubt he'll be too much of a threat on any travelers on this road.
All right. Okay. So in Undercommon, I'm not for the sake of brevity, you explain to it that it has to hunt games, i.e. animals, and not people. And we will come back to kill it if we hear about it. And he nods his head in a very unanimalistic way. And you say to the rest of the group to step away so that you can let it go.
I step off.
Yeah, I will step back as well.
As do I.
Okay. Everyone steps away from the creature.
Can we call it there?
Okay, yeah. For the sake of brevity, you loosen the ropes, he stands up, and he dashes as quickly as he can towards the river and out of sight. Alright, so it's about 3 o'clock in the day or so, and I will say call it for the night because my goodness, it's 10:20 and we need to go to sleep. And whatever o'clock it is in the other time zones that don't matter. Thank you everybody for watching, the 5 of you, goodness, that are still watching. Thanks for coming. We will be picking this up in 2 weeks, so that will be the 17th. Cool beans. And everyone, good night.